He took the lead, gripping his halberd as he charged into the fray. The 13 people surrounding him were the last sane 8-aperture nascent soul experts of the Jian family. Absolute resolve burned in their eyes. One of the family's 3 great 9-aperture nascent soul masters had somehow shattered his restraints, slaughtering countless of his own kin in a bloody escape. He left a river of blood in his wake. To stop him, every available 8-aperture nascent soul expert of the Jian family had banded together to hunt him down. This 9-aperture nascent soul master was already driven mad by the backlash of his cultivation realm and nascent soul. Worse still, his cultivation of the Jian family's slaughter arts had plunged him into severe Kai deviation. This double affliction had turned him into an absolute monster. Even working together, they were no match for him. Watching their comrades fall, they roared in a mix of grief and fury. In all likelihood, none of them were making it home today. But even with battered bodies, they swore to strike him down, refusing to let him unleash his madness upon the outside world. In a flash, they collided in battle once more. Their readiness to die did nothing to turn the tide. The slaughter remained relentlessly one-sided. In the blink of an eye, 2 more 8-aperture nascent soul experts fell dead. The Jian family elder's face went deathly pale with despair. The heavens are destroying the Jian family. After today's battle, the Jian family's 8-aperture nascent soul experts would be wiped out. Their top-tier strength would suffer a catastrophic gap, making it impossible to rival the 3 spirits sect and the 7 great cults ever again. Throw in the descent of the ancient giants, and the Jian family was truly about to be erased from the river of history. Right at that moment, a massive pillar of Yin Kai erupted from the canyon ahead, piercing straight into the highest heavens. The sheer scale of the Yin Kai left everyone stunned in their tracks. Their first instinct was that some overwhelmingly powerful, evil entity had just been born. But a moment later, a voice rang out, a sharp, annoyed shout, revealing that someone was deep in cultivation here. "Can't you take this fight somewhere else?" The Jian family elder shivered inwardly. In the entire Taking Grand Prefecture, the only faction dedicated to the cultivation of Yin Kai was the Great Yin Sect, right? And judging by the immense density of that Yin Kai, this was no ordinary Great Yin Sect elder. A glint of hope flashed in his eyes. "Sir, I apologize for disturbing your cultivation. Could we ask for your aid in slaying this monster? We will reward you handsomely." Fang Chen had just completed his cultivation of Starshift, and was preparing to refine that 6-metered, all-member of the ancient giants into a Yin Corpse. But with a whole crowd suddenly crashing his spot, how was he supposed to get any refining done? He frowned, glancing up at the brutal dogfight above. It didn't look like it was ending anytime soon. After a moment of thought, he pulled out the beast horn. "I'll strike exactly once. Don't miss your chance." He activated the soul-imprisoning lock. By combining his 5-aperture nascent soul power with the beast horn, the attack surged straight to the 9-aperture nascent soul tier. Instantly, the frenzied 9-aperture nascent soul powerhouse froze mid-rampage, paralyzed to the bone. The crowd gasped. "What is that?" To completely immobilize their corrupted, maddened 9-aperture nascent soul master, the Jian family elder snapped out of his daze, shouting in wild joy, "Seal his power of the nascent soul." After all, this was a 9-aperture nascent soul master of the Jian family, their greatest hope for eventually birthing a venerable. They had only tried to kill him out of sheer desperation, but now they could capture him alive. Snapping to attention, the group whipped out an array of mystical tools, rushing him while he was pinned. Moments later, 9 massive spikes were hammered into the 9-aperture nascent soul master's major meridians, and several specialized heavy chains were coiled tightly around his body. By the time the soul-imprisoning lock wore off, the man was bound so tight he couldn't twitch a muscle. Wiping the blood from his face, the Jian family elder cracked a weary grin. He had braced himself for a total wipeout. Instead, they had only lost 3 men and successfully captured their 9-aperture nascent soul master alive, all thanks to the mysterious powerhouse in the canyon. The thought left him brimming with both awe and profound gratitude. The awe came from the sheer terror of the stranger's methods, immobilizing a 9-aperture nascent soul master from a distance without breaking a sweat. Waving his clansmen back to keep their distance, the elder leaped down alone, landing where Fang Chen stood. Fang Chen was currently frowning at the beast horn. At some point, a jagged crack had spiderwebbed across its surface. He was absolutely certain it hadn't been there when he first claimed it. It seemed this artifact functioned much like a talisman. It couldn't withstand endless use. By his estimate, it would shatter after another 7 or 8 uses. Sensing an approaching presence, he swiftly stowed away the beast horn and locked his gaze on the newcomer. It was an old man, absolutely drenched in blood. Frowning, he cut to the chase, save the thank yous, just keep your Nine-Aperture nascent soul on a tighter leash, and make sure he doesn't break out to terrorize anyone else. The elder from the Jian family took one look at him and was inwardly stunned. He had expected an established senior from the great Yin Sect, only to find an absurdly young teenager who had already reached the nascent soul realm. Sensing the youth didn't want to be bothered, the elder simply cupped his hands in respect. Thank you for intervening, young hero. The debt we owe you is immense. Once you finish your cultivation, please visit the Jian family estate. We will reward you handsomely. With that, he took to the sky and vanished. Fang Chen nodded in quiet realization. So, these people belonged to the Jian family. Putting the matter aside, he couldn't wait any longer to begin refining his Yin Corpse. Meanwhile, back at the estate, Jian Linyuan was hauling a servant's corpse over his shoulder, setting it down in the courtyard. Several dead bodies already littered the ground around him. These were the unfortunate souls slaughtered when their crazed Nine-Aperture nascent soul clansmen had broken loose. Standing nearby was a striking woman in her early 20s, dressed in a sleek purple outfit. She had sun-kissed wheat-colored skin and a pair of fierce, captivating phoenix eyes. This was Jian Linyuan's older sister. She had been covertly guarding Jian Linyuan in stealth while they searched the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion's underground world for the Black Buddhist scripture. Now, safely back at their family estate, she finally dropped her invisibility. Glancing at the grisly scene on the courtyard floor, she let out a disdainful scoff. With our Jian family dealing with a mess like this, your precious junior brother Fang can forget about coming here for any advanced training. Such a shame. I was really looking forward to stringing him up and kicking his ass 100 times. Jian Linyuan rolled his eyes hard. You teach him a lesson. Didn't you hear about his insane kill streak at the fire worship cult? He could pin you to the floor and thrash you with a single hand now. Jian Weishuang ground her teeth in annoyance. That little freak, she muttered. Back when he tried to frame me with the Yao clan, he was barely at the second or third level of core formation. Now he's already a 3-aperture nascent soul, a whole tier higher than me. She had traded in all her hard-earned merits from the underground world just to secure the resources to break through to the 2-aperture nascent soul realm. Yet Fang Chen had effortlessly leapfrogged past her. He might be a big deal out there, she huffed, but this is the Jian family's turf. If he dares to show his face here, I'm going to kick his ass sideways. Half a day later, deep within the canyon. As thick Yin Kai billowed and deafening shrieks echoed through the air, an 18-foot giant with dead, glassy eyes let out an earth-shattering roar. Without warning, it unleashed a barrage of palm strikes, absolutely pulverizing the surrounding canyon walls. Such terrifying physical strength. The sheer force of its blows triggered ear-splitting sonic booms. To possess the physical durability of a 1-aperture nascent soul, the giant king's lineage was truly monstrous. Just a single drop of its blood had birthed a 1-aperture nascent soul powerhouse. He shuddered to think about the ancient giant that had consumed massive chunks of his flesh. If it managed to achieve blood, rebirth, what god-tier monstrosity would it become? Fang Chen couldn't help but marvel at the sheer absurdity of it all. After extensive trial and error, he had successfully refined the miniature giant into a Yin Corpse. While its raw combat strength wasn't game-breaking, it was exactly what he needed as a vessel to siphon off his volatile void, flow lightning force and void, flow fire force. He leaped onto its massive shoulder, pressing his left hand against its forehead. In his right palm, crackling void, flow lightning force and searing void, flow fire force simultaneously flared to life. Silently channeling the star shift technique, the twin destructive energies pooling in his right hand began to visibly drain away. Soon not a single trace remained. In stark contrast, when Fang Chen directed the giant to throw a punch, those exact same twin elemental forces violently erupted from its fist. A heavy weight lifted from his chest, the immediate crisis was largely averted. As long as Venerable Heart Bane isn't overly paranoid, Fang Chen mused, I should be able to bluff my way past him. He pulled out a separate spatial storage artifact and sealed the ancient giant safely inside. He would reclaim the elemental forces only after dealing with Venerable Heart Bane. With his preparations complete, he set out for the Jian family estate. Fang Chen had expected the mighty Jian family to reside among majestic mountains and spiritual rivers. Instead, he was genuinely surprised to find a solitary fortress city perched on a barren plain with remarkably thin spiritual energy. A clan capable of casually deploying over a dozen Nine-Aperture nascent soul experts commanded a terrifyingly deep foundation, one easily on par with the 3 divine sects and 7 great cults. For them to be holed up in such an unremarkable wasteland was entirely unexpected. Senior Fang, Jian Linyuan rushed over at breakneck speed the moment he heard Fang Chen had arrived. His face lit up with pure joy. "We've been eagerly waiting for you." Fang Chen scanned the experts lurking within the Jian family estate. Some visible, others hidden. "I'm guessing this isn't exactly a good time for a visit," he asked pointedly. A level 9 nascent soul expert from the Jian family is in trouble. With something that big going down, the whole place is on lockdown. They aren't exactly welcoming outsiders right now. Jian Linyuan's smile faltered, replaced by a look of sheer awkwardness. "It is a bit of bad timing. Things have been complicated, but I gave you my word, and I'm not going back on it. You'll just have to bear with a little bit of inconvenience, Senior Fang." He pulled out an ordinary looking bronze mirror. Its surface was polished to a high shine, while the back was etched with intricate, beautiful patterns. As Jian Linyuan channeled his energy, the mirror began to hum with faint spatial fluctuations. Fang Chen frowned. "What's this supposed to be?" Jian Linyuan whispered sheepishly, "It's a spatial mirror. It's not much, but it can hide a person. It's my little secret treasure. If you wouldn't mind stepping inside, I can sneak you into the Jian family's martial Dao arena. You can study the aura concealment technique there in peace." Fang Chen's eyes widened. "I'm here as a guest, not a damn burglar." "I came for a formal visit. Since when did this turn into a stealth mission?" Jian Linyuan gave a dry cough. "Think of it as a tactical workaround. Please, Senior Fang, just bear with it for now." Fang Chen looked completely repulsed. "I know an old man from your family. If you can't handle this, just have him bring me in." He was thinking of the elder he'd seen leading the hunt for that Nine-Aperture nascent soul. That guy clearly had some serious status. Jian Linyuan blinked, confused. How did Fang Chen know anyone else in the family? It was probably just some low-level elder. He waved a hand dismissively. "The old man has already locked the place down. No one goes in or out until we find the source of the internal strife. If you had plenty of time, I'd say come back later. But you have less than 5 days before you have to ascend the sky-touching black pillar. We're on a clock here. I'll make it up to you with a massive feast and a formal apology afterward. I promise." Fang Chen sighed, his reluctance clear. "Fine. But if I get caught, don't you dare breathe a word about who I am. I have a reputation to protect, and I'm not dying of shame today." If word got out that the famous Chief Deputy Pavilion Master of the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion was sneaking around like a thief, his reputation in all of Taikang would be trashed. Jian Linyuan puffed out his chest confidently. "Don't worry, Senior Fang. I'm a pro. I never mess up." He tapped the bronze mirror, and a beam of spatial light shot out, enveloping Fang Chen. A moment later, Fang Chen found himself in a bright space about 20 feet wide. From the inside, he could see and hear everything happening in the outside world perfectly. "Don't worry, Senior. Once we reach the spot, I'll let you out." Fang Chen nodded. The spatial walls weren't particularly strong. If things went sideways, he could just use his fire origin to burn his way out. He wasn't worried about being trapped. Besides, Jian Linyuan was usually pretty reliable. Jian Linyuan tucked the mirror into his sleeve and strolled toward the Jian family estate, as if he didn't have a care in the world. At the city gates, several experts with 6-aperture or even 7-aperture auras stood guard. Even Jian Linyuan was subjected to multiple searches. The security was so tight that not even a fly could have slipped through unnoticed. "See, Senior, we're officially in." "Stay focused." Fang Chen snapped from within the mirror. "Someone's going to see you." "Never celebrate at halftime. We just got through the gate. We aren't at the martial Dao arena yet. It's way too soon to call this a win." No sooner had the words left his mouth than a group of Jian family youths approached. Leading them was a woman in her mid-20s. Her cultivation was at the 4-aperture nascent soul realm. At her age, that kind of power would make her a top-tier prodigy in any of the 3 divine sects and 7 great cults. The moment Jian Linyuan saw her, he froze. He quickly bowed. "Cousin Linyu." Jian Linyu was from the main lineage, the true eldest miss of the family. With her incredible strength and status, she held massive sway over the younger generation. She arched an eyebrow. "What are you doing outside the city at a time like this?" The other youths looked at him with disapproval. They were all busy helping Patriarch Jian with the investigation, yet here was Jian Linyuan sneaking around. Jian Linyuan withered under their gaze, knowing a punishment was coming. Fortunately, his sister, Jian Weishuang, was among them. She stepped forward and gave him a sharp kick. "You idiot. Apologize already." Jian Linyuan stumbled from the blow, nearly losing his footing. I was wrong. Please, cousin, name my punishment. Jian Linyu waved it off. Forget it. Just go back and rest. Relieved, Jian Linyuan bowed and scrambled away. Inside the mirror, Fang Chen's face went dark. You can leave, but take me with you. That kick from Jian Waishuang just now. The kick had sent Jian Linyuan stumbling so hard that the bronze mirror slipped right out of his sleeve without him even realizing it. And this was the guy who told him he was a professional. He was way past just being relieved. He was absolutely doomed. Total social ruin was inevitable now. Sure enough, the bronze mirror lay conspicuously on the ground, sticking out like a sore thumb. A disciple of the Jian family spotted it, jogged over to scoop it up, and handed it straight to Jian Linyu. Cousin, someone dropped a mirror. Fang Chen mentally dragged a hand down his face, right in front of a 4-aperture nascent soul expert. How was he supposed to hide the secrets of this bronze mirror? He couldn't even fathom how to explain his way out of this one. Even with 100 mouths, he'd be talking in circles. Thankfully, Jian Linyu merely glanced at it from the corner of her eye, not bothering to inspect it closely. Jian Linyuan probably dropped it. Just give it back to your brother later. Jian Waishuang hurried over to take it, scoffing in annoyance. That scatterbrained idiot. I'm going to teach him a lesson later. She inspected the bronze mirror and clicked her tongue. Why does a grown man need such an elegant mirror anyway? He doesn't have a girlfriend, nor a crush. Consider this confiscated. With that, she shoved the mirror right into her robes. Fang Chen's vision instantly went pitch black. While he breathed a sigh of relief, he had no choice but to sit tight and wait for Jian Linyuan to come looking for him. Who knows how much time passed before his vision suddenly brightened again. He was now in a rather cozy, private bedchamber. A pink bed, vibrant blankets, and all sorts of cute, playful decorations. It clearly belonged to a girl with a bubbly personality. At that moment, 2 maids unfolded a privacy screen and began pouring steaming hot water into a large wooden tub. Fang Chen froze. Is someone about to take a bath? Thank God the screen blocked his view. If he were caught peeping, there'd be absolutely no way to explain himself. Just then, a beautiful silhouette sat down right in front of him, entirely blocking his line of sight. As it turned out, he had been propped up against a vanity. A woman with sun-kissed wheat-colored skin, sharp, striking features, and a somewhat fierce, heroic vibe sat at the mirror. She blinked her upturned phoenix-like eyes at her reflection and muttered to herself, I'm not exactly bad looking, so why doesn't anyone like me? Do guys really only like gentle, dainty girls? I'm not exactly hot-tempered, am I? I mean, I only beat up my little brother every other day, and I've only castrated like 8 or 9 scumbags for bullying the younger girls in the Jian family. Deep down, I'm a real catch, right? Why is their taste so garbage? They don't know what they're missing. Fang Chen instinctively squeezed his legs tightly together. The Jian family really needed to keep this menace safely locked away at home. Do not unleash her upon the rest of the world. Miss, your bath is ready. The 2 maids picked up their buckets and slipped out of the room. Jian Waishuang untied her hair accessories, letting her long black hair cascade down like a dark waterfall. She then slipped out of her purple dress and untied her inner robes, revealing a stunning figure clad only in a small purple silk bodice. While her wheat-toned skin wasn't the pale, fragile complexion typical of most noble girls, it radiated a vibrant, athletic health. Her long, incredibly toned legs looked strong enough to wrap around a person and snap them in half. Fang Chen immediately clamped his eyes shut, his lower half having already sent him a stern threat of castration warning. Given how fierce this woman was, if she found out a guy was watching from inside the mirror, she would castrate him 100 times over just to vent her fury. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? Jian Waishuang playfully preened at her reflection. You're the fairest. Now please, just go take your bath, Fang Chen prayed internally. Hee, you look gorgeous. She picked up the bronze mirror and planted a kiss right on the glass with her rosy lips. Then she spun around, discarded her silk bodice, and stepped into the wooden tub entirely naked. Fang Chen's face flushed hot. He out-turned around to avoid seeing anything else. After an unknown amount of time, Jian Waishuang finished her bath. Now dressed in fresh robes and wearing light makeup, she murmured to herself. The patriarch mentioned that a handsome, incredibly talented young man will be arriving at the Jian family soon. I need to dress up a little, not because I want to impress him, obviously. I just need to uphold the pride of the Jian family women. After a painfully elaborate dressing routine, she finally took her sweet time leaving the room. Only then did Fang Chen finally let out the breath he'd been holding. Not long after Jian Waishuang left, Jian Linyuan snuck into the room, tiptoeing around like a thief. After a frantic search, his eyes locked onto the bronze mirror. He scrambled over, scooped it up, and whispered, "Senior, are you all right?" Fang Chen glared at him with a darkened face. "I'm not dead yet, but I'm damn near close. We gotta go. The women in this place, you don't want to mess with them." Jian Linyuan felt like someone had finally read his mind. He gritted his teeth, his voice a low growl. "Senior Fang, you've hit the nail on the head. My sister is an absolute demon. Cruel, malicious, arrogant, just plain evil. What did I do in a past life to deserve a sister like her tormenting me? Senior Fang, you truly are a master. You saw right through her in an instant." Fang Chen rubbed his nose. Well, not exactly through her. He'd just seen everything. Jian Linyuan led Fang Chen to an arena on the Jian Family grounds, a sprawling platform easily 1,000 yards across. Its surface was a tapestry of scars, gouges from axes and swords, countless impressions of fists and palms. In some places, old blackened bloodstains were caked into the stone. It was clearly an arena that had seen countless battles, weathered by age and combat. Jian Linyuan spoke to the bronze mirror. "Senior Fang, this martial Dao arena, this is the secret behind the Jian family's power." He placed the bronze mirror onto the surface of the martial Dao arena. From within the mirror, Fang Chen's vision was suddenly filled with the spectral echoes of two figures locked in a ferocious battle, phantoms of powerful warriors who had once fought on this very stage. Their presence was immense, their eyes blazing with the battle, mad frenzy. They were at the level of a Nine-Aperture nascent soul. The divine abilities and secret arts they unleashed were on another level of power. Some of their techniques were easily on par with Zhong Wuya's colored light sword. Even as mere phantoms, the sight sent a shiver of dread down Fang Chen's spine. Then the scene shifted. Now, two new warriors were locked in combat, each one radiating a divine halo from behind their head. Their power was cataclysmic, world-shattering. Fang Chen couldn't even track their movements, let alone comprehend the divine abilities they were using. All he could perceive were the apocalyptic shockwaves rolling off them. Caught in the phantom battle, he felt like a lone ship in a tsunami, moments from being torn apart. Then, Jian Linyuan's voice echoed in his mind. "Senior Fang, close your eyes. Use your soul to perceive the fight. It's the only way to sense the imprints of their martial arts. The concealment technique you're looking for was used by a venerable in the third battle. Whether or not you can grasp it, that's all up to you." Fang Chen immediately closed his eyes. With his soul's perception, the chaotic battle became startlingly clear. The venerable's blindingly fast divine abilities, once a blur, now left distinct trails hanging in the air, ghostly imprints that only his soul could see. The power of his soul. As his soul sense brushed against these imprints, flashes of insight into their cultivation methods flooded his mind. But how much of that insight he could absorb and make his own depended entirely on his own aptitude. Soon, the vision of the third battle unfolded within his soul. Just as Jian Linyuan had said, he sensed the presence of a venerable. As the warrior executed the concealment technique, his opponent, another venerable, seemed to lose track of him completely. He was floored, a technique that could even fool a venerable. The moment the imprints from the technique appeared, he latched onto them with his soul, drawing in the streams of martial insight. The selfless dust art, a heaven-tier technique. First level of consummation conceals you from the perception of the nascent soul realm. Second level of consummation conceals you from the deity transformation realm. Third level of consummation conceals you from a sage. Fang Chen's mind reeled. The first two levels were unbelievable enough, but the last one, was this some kind of joke? A sage Fang Chen couldn't even begin to fathom what a being at that level was capable of. They were supreme beings who could probably alter the fate of millions with a single thought. In an age without saints, they were the masters of the world. And this technique could block the perception of a sage. His heart hammered in his chest. He greedily absorbed the insights from the phantom imprints, but they flickered into existence and vanished in an instant. Even with his aptitude, it was impossible to process them all. By the time the vision of the third battle faded, Fang Chen had only managed to grasp the first level of the technique. To even begin comprehending the other two, he would first have to master the first level to the state of consummation. Jian Linyuan, who had been keeping track of the time, asked, "The third vision should be over now. Senior Fang, what were you able to learn?" His face was full of anticipation. After all, the concealment technique was of an incredibly high tier. The most gifted ancestor in the Jian family's history had spent years in bitter training just to grasp the first level. Their descendants, however, could barely scratch the surface of it. Even the venerables from Taking had tried. Aside from the exceptionally talented venerable Mantra, who managed to grasp half of the first level, the others barely learned the fundamentals. But Fang Chen was different. To break through his limits and reach the nascent soul realm in a desolate backwater like his homeland, he was truly a dragon among men. If he could just grasp 20 or 30% of the first level, it would be more than enough for his purposes at the sky-touching black pillar. Fang Chen put on a guilty expression. Brother Jian, you gave me a great opportunity, but I failed to grasp it. I only managed to learn the first level. Jian Linyuan nodded reassuringly. Don't worry about it. That's how it is for everyone. Then he paused, frowning. Wait, how much of the first level did you get? Fang Chen looked baffled. Percentages, does it come in pieces? I learned all of it, of course. How could you possibly cultivate with just a fragment of a technique? Jian Linyuan's eyes went wide, and he sucked in a sharp breath. On your first try, you mastered the entire first level. Are you sure you didn't accidentally learn some other Earth tier technique instead? Fang Chen wondered. This is the floating dustless self technique, isn't it? Is something wrong? Jian Linyuan stood frozen. Only one ancestor of the Jian family had ever comprehended this technique. Yet Fang Chen, an outsider, grasped it on his very first attempt. What kind of god tier comprehension was that? If he were given enough time, wouldn't he be able to comprehend this secret art, or even all the ancient secret arts? A spark lit up in his eyes. Rubbing his hands together, he said, Senior Fang, do you want a wife? I'll introduce you to my sister. She's incredibly gentle. Fang Chen almost choked on his own blood. His face darkening, he said, Swear to the heavens and repeat that last sentence. What happened to the promised cruel, vicious demoness? Jian Linyuan flashed a brilliant smile. That's just a joke between my sister and me. She's incredibly gentle with outsiders. Incredibly gentle. She'd only emasculated 8 or 9 men, that's all. To marry off his sister, he was willing to cast aside all shame. Jian Linyuan, who are you talking to? A suspicious voice suddenly called out. Jian Linyuan flinched, then turned his head to see Jian Weishuang. She wore a form-fitting cyan robe that perfectly accentuated her shapely bust and impossibly narrow, wasp-like waist. Her lightly made-up face looked smooth and radiant. Her long, neatly combed hair was tied into a ponytail, radiating a gallant aura. She was stunningly beautiful, a sight to behold. Jian Linyuan was mesmerized. Sis, who are you all dressed up for? Do you have a sweetheart? That's wonderful. We won't ask for a bride price, we'll even offer a dowry. We can set the auspicious date for tomorrow, or even today, if that doesn't work. The more he spoke, the more excited he became, more so than breaking through to the nascent soul realm. Jian Weishuang's face turned cold. She stepped forward and twisted his ear. Stop messing around. I'm asking you a question. Who were you talking to so suspiciously just now? She snatched up the bronze mirror, her eyes blazing with fury. You good? For nothing. Did you break into my room to steal something? Which hand did you use? Stick it out. I'll chop it off. Fang Chen gulped. He actually recommended such a brutal sister to him. He considered Jian Linyuan a brother, but Jian Linyuan saw him as a brother. In law, unacceptable, their friendship was over. Jian Weishuang held the bronze mirror, keenly sensing mysterious currents of energy circulating within it. Puzzled, she brought the mirror closer and scrutinized it. Was there something strange about this mirror? Jian Linyuan broke out in a cold sweat. He quickly stammered, no. Jian Weishuang's pretty eyes narrowed. Then why did you steal it, and why were you sneaking around, placing it on the Enlightenment platform in our family's sacred ground? And who were you talking to just now? The more she spoke, the more suspicious she became, finally glaring at the bronze mirror. Could it be there's someone hidden inside this mirror? Sneaking around like this, could it be some illicit woman you're hiding? You brought an outsider into the Jian family's sacred ground behind our backs to comprehend its divine abilities and precious techniques. Jian Linyuan, you've grown so bold. Cold sweat poured down Jian Linyuan's back. His vision swam. His world had just come crashing down. Jian Weishuang glared coldly at the mirror. I'd like to see what kind of woman has charmed my brother like this. She circulated her spiritual power, activating the bronze mirror. As a flash of spatial light erupted, Fang Chen tumbled out, and it was a man. Jian Weishuang stared at Fang Chen as he slowly stood up, utterly bewildered. Who are you? Fang Chen wiped a hand across his face. In that moment, he wanted nothing more than to strangle Jian Linyuan. A perfectly respectable visit had turned into a clandestine ambush. Fortunately, no one in the Jian family recognized him, save for Jian Linyuan. He'd rather die today than reveal his true identity. He lifted his head, a slight smile on his face. I am from the great Yin sect. To make her believe him, he even gathered a ball of yin kai in his palm. There was no choice to save face. He had to sacrifice his good brother. Jian Weishuang stared blankly at Fang Chen's face for a moment, then let out a cold sneer. Wang Chong of the Great Yin Sect, your talent for pinning blame is as proficient as ever. Fang Chen froze. This woman knew him. He looked blankly at Jian Linyuan. The latter, utterly crestfallen, hung his head and said, "This is my sister, Jian Weishuang. At the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion, you know, the one where you saw each other naked." Fang Chen froze. "It's you, you infuriating woman." Jian Weishuang scoffed, a cold smile on her face. "You little pervert. After what you saw, you actually dare to set foot in the Jian family's territory. And to top it off, you snuck in by hiding inside a mirror." Suddenly, a horrifying thought struck her. She instinctively covered her chest, her eyes flying wide. When, exactly, did you get into that mirror? An image of her exquisite figure flashed uncontrollably through Fang Chen's mind. He forced a nonchalant tone. "Just now. Why do you ask?" The frantic pounding in Jian Weishuang's chest finally started to subside. Thank the heavens, she had done everything in front of that bronze mirror, stripping down, bathing, even admiring herself. If Fang Chen had seen all that, she would have just curled up and died right then and there. It would have been the most mortifying moment of her entire life. But looking at Fang Chen's completely unfazed expression, a seed of doubt began to sprout. This guy was always cunning. She needed to test him, to be absolutely sure he hadn't seen anything before she could relax. Fang Chen, the Jian family, is on high alert. Do you have any idea what would happen to you if you were discovered sneaking around? Jian Weishuang said, her tone heavy with implication. Fang Chen retorted, "You'll have to ask your brother about that." Jian Weishuang let out a sharp laugh. "The Jian family doesn't care about the details. You broke in, and you will pay the price. Of course, if you can answer 3 of my questions, I'll promise to keep your presence here a secret. I'll even guarantee you a safe exit." Fang Chen narrowed his eyes. "What questions?" A sly smile played on Jian Weishuang's lips. 3 very simple questions. The only rule is, you have to answer immediately. No hesitation. Fang Chen thought for a moment. "All right, ask away." First question, what does 1 + 1 equal? Second question, what color are my robes? Azure. Third question, what color is my chemise? Purple. Wait, no. How would I know what color it is? Fang Chen realized he'd been tricked, but it was too late. A deep blush spread across Jian Weishuang's face, reaching the very tips of her ears. She was trembling. She clutched the front of her robes, biting down hard on her lower lip. When she spoke, her voice trembled with rage and humiliation. You saw everything. You heard everything." Fang Chen said quickly, "No, I didn't see anything at all." Jian Weishuang's hands balled into fists. "If you didn't see anything," she whispered furiously, "then how did you know my chemise was purple? You saw everything, and you listened to all my private, embarrassing thoughts. I'm going to take you down with me." The shame was too much to bear. She would never let Fang Chen spread her humiliation to the world. It was better if they both just died right here. Without another word, she drew her sword and swung it viciously at Fang Chen. Fang Chen's eye twitched. He ducked behind Jian Linyuan. "What are you waiting for? Do something." As if waking from a dream, Jian Linyuan snapped his head around to stare at Fang Chen in disbelief. "Fang Chen spied on my sister while she was bathing. According to the code, if you see a woman's bare skin, you have to marry her. He's my brother-in-law now." He realized there was no way Fang Chen was getting out of this. Seeing Jian Weishuang charge forward, blind with fury and humiliation, he quickly jumped in her way. "Whatever it is, take it out on me. Don't hurt my brother-in-law." Fang Chen's face went dark. This brother and sister are a menace. He activated Shadow in the clouds, preparing to vanish on the spot. But at that exact moment, a group of figures descended, forming a tight semicircle around them. It was Jian Linyu and a squad of junior Jian family members. Fang Chen's heart dropped. The Jian family's response time was impossibly fast. He had only been out of the mirror for a few moments. How had they already detected an outsider's presence? Jian Linyu gave the order, her voice devoid of warmth. "Jian Weishuang, Jian Linyuan, surrender now and await interrogation by the family." Her eyes then landed on Fang Chen, and she frowned. "Why is there an outsider here? Arrest him as well." Jian Weishuang, still reeling from her own drama, looked up in shock. "Cousin, am I hearing things? Interrogate us. What crime are we supposed to have committed?" Jian Linyu replied, her expression impassive. "It has been determined that the technique used to undo our clan's Nine-Aperture nascent soul restriction belongs solely to your grandfather, the 3rd elder. He and all members of his lineage are to be held for questioning. Jian Weishuang shot back, impossible. My grandfather would never do something like this. What could he possibly gain from it? Releasing that Nine-Aperture nascent soul expert led to the deaths of several Jian family members. Among them were 3 of our precious 8-aperture nascent soul cultivators, who died trying to hunt him down. The losses were immense. If an outsider were responsible, we would naturally hunt them down. But if it was one of our own, the betrayal is even worse. They would face the ultimate punishment, and their entire branch of the family would suffer as an example to the rest. Jian Weishuang never imagined that after all this investigating, the blame would fall on her own family branch. Jian Linyu's voice was ice. The evidence is conclusive, there's no denying it. Out of respect for our shared bloodline, I'd rather not use force on you too. Surrender now and face the family's interrogation. Jian Linyuan also couldn't believe their grandfather was behind this. The act was pointless and would only harm his own interests and those of his family branch. The problem was, for the restriction placed on the Nine-Aperture nascent soul clansmen, each family elder held a unique method of release. A method known only to them, impossible for any outsider to replicate. Since the investigation revealed it was the 3rd elder's method that was used, it could only have been him. Jian Weishuang gritted her teeth. She said, "Cousin, there has to be a mistake. Please let me investigate this myself." If her entire family branch was captured, who would be left to clear their name, even if they were innocent? Someone had to stay free to uncover the truth. Jian Linyu retorted, "The family head verified it himself. Do you really think he would frame your branch? This is my last warning. Surrender." Jian Weishuang and Jian Linyuan's hearts sank. The family head himself, then it must be true. But why would their grandfather do such a thing? Fang Chen stroked his chin, lost in thought. I once saw someone who could copy another person's divine ability and power. Replicating a method to release a restriction might not be impossible for them. Miss Jian, could you arrange for me to meet your family head? Once he hears what I have to say, he might reconsider his decision. Before, he might have suspected Jian Linyuan's grandfather too, but having witnessed the unnatural abilities of Wang Chongling, he couldn't help but wonder if this was his doing. Jian Linyu shot him a cold glare. You sneak into our Jian family compound, and now you want to see the family head. You think far too highly of yourself. Seize him along with the others. Jian Weishuang gritted her teeth and crushed a small porcelain figurine in her hand. I'm getting out of here to find the truth. Tell our people to stay calm. As the figurine shattered, she vanished with a crack, dissolving into fragments on the spot. Jian Linyu frowned. Forget her. The Jian family estate is on lockdown. A dedicated team will hunt her down. Just capture the ones in front of us. A group of heavens chosen from the Jian family, all in the nascent soul realm, attacked at once. A dozen powerful strikes, a dazzling barrage of divine abilities and treasured arts, lit up the sky in a kaleidoscope of lethal color. Panic crossed Jian Linyuan's face. He didn't care if he was hurt, but he couldn't let the innocent Fang Chen get dragged into this. Dropping to one knee, he yelled, "Stop! I surrender." But before his knee could touch the ground, an invisible force lifted him back to his feet. Fang Chen tapped his toe lightly on the ground, his voice calm as he intoned, "Primal Genesis, time." A massive, ancient golden bell materialized beneath his feet. It was the 3rd form of the Brahma Holy True Spirit Art. This was the first time Fang Chen had ever used it, even he had no idea of its true power. A resonant dong echoed out from the bell. The web of divine abilities converging above them unraveled, dissolving back into the power of the nascent soul, then breaking down further into spiritual power, and finally dissipating as raw energy into the air. As for the attacking one, Aperture nascent soul cultivators, the surging power of the nascent soul within them retreated, flowing back into their core nascent soul. Just as the name of the 3rd form implied, Primal Genesis, everything had been returned to its original state. Everyone was stunned. What kind of bizarre secret art is this? Jian Linyu's pupils constricted. All of you, fall back. You're no match for him. Only then did she realize with a jolt that the young man before her was a 3-aperture nascent soul. So young, yet so powerful, and an acquaintance of Jian Linyuan. Could he be the same Fang Chen who had recently shaken the fire worship cult? Your name is Fang Chen? Jian Linyu asked, her brow furrowed. Fang Chen nodded. I am now. Please take me to your family head. I can help him determine if the 3rd elder truly betrayed the family. If he did, I will not interfere further. But if he was framed, I expect an apology for my friend Jian Linyuan and his family. Jian Linyu said coldly, the Jian family's affairs are none of your business. I heard you defeated a 3-aperture nascent soul when you were only a 2-aperture. Now that you've reached the third aperture yourself, your power must have grown considerably. Why don't you show me what you've got? Fang Chen's brow twitched. This woman was completely unreasonable. He said flatly, I'd advise against that. You might get. Jian Linyu scoffed, arrogant. She drew a curved blade, black as ink, and her eyes instantly turned crimson as she verged on losing control. A wave of razor, sharp killing intent from her slaughter arts, washed over him. Jian Linyuan's face paled. Fang Chen, be careful. She's entered her combat state. She won't stop until one of you is dead. Fang Chen gave a slight nod, so this was the foundation of the Jian family's fame, their slaughter arts. But it was also their greatest weakness. 3 styles of the waning moon. First style, soul, shatter. She swung the curved blade through the air, and the dark weapon unleashed a brilliant black light. It split into dozens of palm-sized black blades that shot straight for Fang Chen's soul. A secret soul technique. It felt like killing intent, but it could inflict tangible harm to the soul. An attack like this could even threaten a 5-aperture nascent soul. Fang Chen acknowledged the threat with a mental nod and countered instantly. Soul, shocking spike. A spike of energy shot from between his eyebrows, meeting the incoming black blade's head, on and pulverizing every last one of them. Lost in her combat state, Jian Linyu was devoid of fear and attacked again. Second style, soul, reap. Her curved blade projected a colossal phantom blade into the sky, while her murderous aura condensed into a second, identical one. The 2 phantoms merged, forming a single, terrifyingly solid blade that came crashing down. The strike was like 2 attacks combined into one, its power reaching the level of a 5-aperture nascent soul. Fang Chen understood now. He had to admit, the Jian family's slaughter arts were the real deal. Their condensed killing intent amplified their attacks, allowing this 4-aperture nascent soul to unleash the power of a 5-aperture nascent soul. Sensing the immense power of the attack, he raised a hand. A colossal thunder sword materialized from thin air and slammed into the phantom black blade. Without the enhancement from his void flow lightning force, the 6 divisions of heavenly thunder was back to its normal state. But empowered by his cultivation realm, its strength was still nothing to scoff at. With a deafening boom, the 2 attacks annihilated each other. Jian Linyu readied her third strike, determined to fight to the bitter end. Fang Chen kept his voice flat. I don't have time for this. With a flick of his finger, he launched a lotus forged of netherworld ghost fire. It struck the black blade in her grip. Instantly, the black blade glowed red, hot. The searing metal hissed against her palm. Crying out in pain, she dropped the weapon, yet her battle intent didn't waver as she prepared her movement technique. Instead of an attack, a cloth sack flew right at her face, swallowing her whole. She thrashed wildly inside, but the fabric only pulled tighter, quickly wrapping her up like a tightly bound cocoon. She hit the ground, writhing helplessly. Fang Chen strode over and hoisted her onto his shoulder. He glanced at the dumbfounded Jian Linyuan. What are you waiting for? Let's go find your family head. Jian Linyuan snapped out of his daze. He should be holding a council in the main hall right now. I'll take you there. Internally, he was reeling with a wild mix of shock and absolute thrill. Considering Jian Linyu's terrifying strength, once she entered her berserk battle state, even a 5-aperture nascent soul wouldn't be her match. Yet Fang Chen had effortlessly captured her alive. The younger generation of the Jian family watched in stunned silence. Jian Linyu had actually been taken alive just like that. Panic set in. They desperately wanted to save her, but no one dared to step forward. All they could do was trail behind at a safe distance while frantically sending word to the clan's elders. In truth, the elders didn't need a warning. How could anyone miss the massive shockwaves rolling off such a fierce battle? Before long, a squad of powerhouses arrived on the scene. Fang Chen tossed Jian Linyu from his shoulder to Jian Linyuan. Hold on to her. She's your life insurance. With her in his grasp, the Jian family wouldn't dare strike Jian Linyuan too hard. The first to arrive were 2 6-aperture nascent soul and 4 5-aperture nascent soul experts. Audacious scum, you dare trespass into the Jian family and take one of our own hostage in broad daylight. Attack together, show no mercy. Anyone capable of capturing Jian Linyu alive had to be immensely powerful. Fang Chen took a deep breath. He unleashed the 3 phantasms of man, God, and earth, summoning the 8-armed divine elephant phantasm, the human emperor phantasm, and the thick earth manifestation all at once. They surged forward, crashing into the 4 5-aperture nascent soul experts. Following that, twin beams of crackling lightning erupted from Fang Chen's eyes, sweeping across one of the 6-aperture nascent soul powerhouses. With his free hand, he formed a seal, activating the 5 magnet primal mountain to violently strip the weapons from their hands. One man standing alone against 6 heavyweights. But the Jian family experts were no pushovers. They detonated their auras, unleashing the terrifying might of their high cultivation realm. The 2 Aperture nascent soul experts, in particular, radiated a bloodlust that was downright terrifying. One brute forced his way through the eye-beams of lightning, while the other physically hoisted up the crushing weight of the 5 magnet primal mountain. The lightning blade materialized again, slashing out to send the 4-5 Aperture nascent soul experts flying. Immediately after, a lotus of netherworld ghost fire bloomed in his palm. He flicked it forward. The 2 Aperture nascent soul powerhouses went pale, retreating violently to dodge the lethal flames. Jian Linyuan watched in utter disbelief. Fang Chen was single-handedly pushing back some of the most formidable experts of the Jian family. His current combat power was practically rivaling that of a sect master from the 3 divine sects and 7 great cults. Jian Linyu, having regained her senses, stared with wide eyes. Is he really just a 3 Aperture nascent soul? But their awe was cut short as the overwhelming pressure of a 7 Aperture nascent soul rocketed toward them. The sheer scale of the battle had finally drawn out the head of the Jian family. A gleam of joy flashed in Jian Linyu's eyes. "You're dead meat now, kid," she gloated. "You actually woke my grandfather. Let's see you act tough in front of him." Fang Chen stroked his chin. "Your grandpa is the family head. Great, saves me the trouble of hunting him down." Yet, as the man finally came into view, Fang Chen blinked in surprise. He turned to Jian Linyuan, looking utterly speechless. "That's your family head." Wasn't this the exact same old man who had been barking orders at a bunch of 8 Aperture nascent soul experts to hunt down the 9 Aperture mad soul? If he had known this guy was the family head, why the hell did he waste time sneaking around? Jian Linyuan's face was grim. "Yes, if he refuses to hear you out, you need to run. Don't let yourself get dragged down by my mess." Feeling the suffocating aura radiating from the patriarch, and recalling how the old man spent every clan meeting ruthlessly chewing out the younger generation or verbally obliterating the elders, Jian Linyuan couldn't help but shrink back. Suddenly, trying to reason with the patriarch face didn't seem like such a bright idea. The family head was an iron-fisted dictator. Given the violent way they had demanded an audience, the old man wouldn't listen to a single word. He'd just start swinging. Jian Linyu spoke calmly from her bindings. "Jian Linyuan, if your faction had just surrendered, you might have had a chance to clear your names. But after causing a scene like this, do you honestly expect my grandfather to sit down and chat? This friend of yours might look like he's helping, but he just signed your death warrant." She craned her neck to glare at Fang Chen. "Kid, you've got skills, but this is the Jian family. My grandfather is about to show you what centuries of true power looks like." Before she even finished, Jian Lanzhang descended from the sky, practically radiating fury. Someone actually had the audacity to start a brawl right inside the Jian family estate. Talk about a massive death wish. Even the leaders of the 3 divine sects and 7 great cults had to mind their manners when visiting. Who was this arrogant fool trying to tear down his house? If they didn't have a damn good excuse, not even a 7 Aperture nascent soul would make it out alive. But as he got close enough to see the troublemaker's face, the patriarch's expression completely froze. It was the young powerhouse from the canyon. He wasn't at the 7 Aperture nascent soul stage, yet he had the means to suppress a 9 Aperture nascent soul expert. Still trapped inside the sack, Jian Linyu sensed her grandfather's aura and immediately screamed, "Grandpa, I'm in here." In her mind, she saw her grandfather descending in a righteous fury and slapping Fang Chen into the dirt. But instead, she froze when she heard his hearty laughter. "Well, if it isn't my young friend, what a rare pleasure." Jian Linyuan looked like he'd just seen a ghost. The patriarch and Fang Chen, he remembered Fang Chen mentioning he knew a Jian family elder, and cold sweat began to bead on his forehead. It seemed he had done something entirely unnecessary and incredibly stupid. At least, aside from his sister being seen, well, exposed by Fang Chen, there were no other victims. Fang Chen cupped his hands. "Patriarch Jian, it wasn't easy getting a meeting with you." Jian Lanzhang was bewildered. He had specifically ordered the gate guards to escort anyone matching Fang Chen's description directly to him. How had this turned into a brawl? Pushing his questions aside, he looked apologetic. "My humblest apologies. I was in the middle of interrogating a criminal." Jian Linyu finally saw her opening. Her voice muffled by the heavy fabric, she shouted, "Grandpa, hurry up and take down this villain, Fang Chen." Villain Fang Chen. Jian Lanzhang ripped the sack open, revealing a disheveled teeth, gritting Jian Linyu. His lip twitched slightly. "Mind your manners." Never mind that the boy was their benefactor, given that he could subdue a 9-aperture nascent soul. Jian Lanzhang wouldn't dare raise a hand against him lightly. Jian Linyu fumed. Grandpa, why are you being so polite to this intruder? Show him how powerful you are. Give him a taste of the Jian family's ruthless, swift justice. Jian Lanzhang's eye twitched. He gave her a sharp smack on the back of the head. You brat, how dare you speak to young Master Fang like that? Apologize to him right now. Jian Linyu looked like her entire world had just collapsed. She pointed at herself, then at Fang Chen. Grandpa, he kidnapped me. Instead of punishing him, you're making me apologize. For a moment, she honestly wondered if she was just a buy one get one free deal her family had picked up at a market. Jian Lanzhang scoffed. Kidnapper, he's your benefactor. As for the kidnapping, that was just a test he set for you. If Fang Chen truly had malicious intent, would Jian Linyu still be standing there without a scratch? She'd be covered in bruises. Picturing her stubborn face, he grabbed Jian Linyu's head and forced it down. Jian Lanzhang smiled. Young friend Fang, please forgive the girl's ignorance. Fang Chen gave the teeth-gritting girl a teasing look. Did you hear that, princess? I'm your dear benefactor now, so stop calling me a villain. Jian Linyu was shaking with pure, unadulterated rage. This jerk went from a villain to a savior in the blink of an eye. How was this even possible? Done teasing her, Fang Chen turned serious. Patriarch Jian, I have something to discuss regarding the release of your clan's 9-aperture nascent soul. He immediately recounted everything he had seen in the East Sea. Jian Lanzhang was stunned. There exists an eye technique that defies the natural order to such a degree. He was forced to reconsider the suspicions surrounding his own clan elders. Fang Chen mused, knowing him, he always has a hidden agenda. He wouldn't have set your 9-aperture nascent soul loose for no reason. This whole thing feels like a diversion. You should check if your clan lost anything valuable while we were away. The warning sent a jolt of alarm through Jian Lanzhang. Oh no. If he can copy any divine ability, power, or even the secret to breaking a restriction, then the one thing only I can open. His face went pale as he turned and bolted toward the back of the estate. Fang Chen followed immediately. They reached the deepest part of the Jian family grounds, stopping before a cellar sealed by over a dozen layers of restrictions. Jian Lanzhang performed a complex ritual, unraveling the restrictions one by one. The cellar door swung open, but the room was empty, save for a few severed chains. It was clear that something incredibly powerful had once been imprisoned here. Jian Lanzhang stood frozen, whispering in shock, It's over. The war corpse anchoring the Jian family's destiny, it's been stolen. A war corpse? Fang Chen was intrigued. What is that? Is it that important? He asked tentatively. Jian Lanzhang looked back at Fang Chen. After a long silence, he finally spoke. Are you familiar with the Jian family's Dao platform? Fang Chen nodded. I am. It's etched with ancient cultivation methods of extraordinary power. It fell from the sky. Jian Lanzhang said. The sky again, Fang Chen had to admit. The heavens had a knack for dropping absolute treasures. First the heaven, deceiving divine bead, then literal women, and now a Dao platform. Even Fang Chen himself had managed to scoop up venerable mantra that way. Jian Lanzhang continued, Outsiders only know our Jian family ancestors claimed the Dao platform. What they don't know is that something else fell with it, an ancient corpse, still gripping a battle sword, locked forever in a fighting stance. Its heart was blown clean through. It had been dead for countless eras. Yet it still radiated an overwhelming presence, an aura so terrifying it made even our clan's 9-aperture nascent soul experts bow in reverence. A 9-aperture nascent soul was inherently driven to madness logically. They shouldn't even comprehend fear. For the corpse to command such primal terror, Fang Chen couldn't even begin to fathom what cultivation realm it had reached in life. What is it used for? Fang Chen asked. Jian Lanzhang tilted his head toward the heavens. It can kill a giant king. Fang Chen's pupils instantly constricted. A corpse dead for untold millennia possessing the power to slay a giant king, it was absolutely unthinkable. But thinking it over, the Jian family was one of the extreme few to survive the Great Tribulation a millennium ago. Without a legendary trump card anchoring them, there was no way they could have endured such an apocalyptic slaughter. No wonder Jian Lanzhang called this corpse the ultimate protector of his bloodline. With the ancient giant cataclysm descending once again, the implications of the Jian family losing this protection were catastrophic. My young friend, this thief you mentioned, who exactly is he? Jian Lanzhang stared at Fang Chen, his eyes burning with desperate intensity. He wanted his weapon back. Fang Chen saw no reason to hide it, Wang Chongsu of the Great Yin Sect. But now that he has the corpse, I highly doubt he'll be going back there. Jian Lanzhang's face turned grim, a suffocating sense of impending doom settled heavy in his chest, leaving him utterly speechless. Fang Chen let out a quiet sigh. He wanted to help them. If he could recover the war corpse, the Jian family would owe him a massive favor. Then if the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion ever found itself on the brink during the ancient giant's great tribulation, they could cash in that favor and seek refuge under the war corpse's protection. Unfortunately, Wang Chongsu was practically a ghost. Tracking him down now would be next to impossible. As Fang Chen stared at the broken chains scattered across the floor, something caught his eye. The severed ends hadn't been slashed by a blade, they had been melted through. A faint, sinister trace of demonic energy still clung to the slag. Is this the work of the White Bone Alliance? A flicker of surprise crossed Fang Chen's face. Wang Chongsu hadn't acted alone. He'd pulled off this heist alongside the White Bone Alliance. He had been wondering how Wang Chongsu, who even knew the Jian family possessed such a devastating war corpse in the first place. With the White Bone Alliance involved, it all clicked into place. The origins of the White Bone Alliance were shrouded in darkness. The sheer volume of deep, dark secrets they hoarded dwarfed whatever Wang Chongsu knew. The White Bone Alliance, Jian Lanzhang's eyes lit up with renewed hope. If we track them down, we can recover the war corpse. Fang Chen shook his head, a wry smirk tugging at his lips. No need to go hunting for them. Knowing Wang Chongsu, anyone who strikes a deal with him is already doomed. I'm willing to bet the White Bone Alliance is about to learn that the hard way. He highly doubted their 7-Aperture nascent soul experts would save them from the inevitable betrayal. When it came to stabbing allies in the back, Wang Chongsu was the undisputed king. The hopeful spark in Jian Lanzhang's eyes faded. He couldn't care less about what happened to the White Bone Alliance. He only cared about getting his war corpse back. So, where would the White Bone Alliance go now? He murmured. It was a casual question, but it struck Fang Chen like a lightning bolt. Fang Chen physically jolted, the blood draining from his face. I think I know exactly where they are headed. Jian Lanzhang hastily cupped his hands in respect. Please, young friend, enlighten me. Fang Chen's eyes turned dead serious. The Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. The White Bone Alliance and I have a blood feud. The only reason they would team up with Wang Chongsu to steal the war corpse is to come after me. I guarantee they're marching on the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion right now. With venerable mantra guarding my sect, the master of the White Bone Alliance hasn't dared to set foot inside the pavilion. That's why they went to such extreme lengths to steal a war corpse capable of executing a soul transformation. Venerable. I don't even know if venerable mantra has fully recovered her strength to the venerable cultivation realm. If the war corpse manages to wound or kill her, the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion will be defenseless. Once that happens, there won't be a single soul who can stop the master of the White Bone Alliance and his 7-Aperture nascent soul power. A fierce light erupted in Jian Lanzhang's eyes. Then what the hell are we waiting for? To the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. He immediately assembled 10 8-Aperture nascent soul experts. Fang Chen, I'm taking you back to the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion personally, he declared. The Jian family has a teleportation formation. By warping to Moon, Washing Lake, the closest point to Green Lai Mountain, and then racing the rest of the way, they could make the trip in just 2 hours. They might actually make it in time. Fang Chen's expression softened slightly, though he was still on edge. He'd been worried since the Jian family's civil war had erupted over half a day ago. If the enemy had headed straight for the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion, they would likely be too late by the time he arrived. The Jian family's teleportation formation was a game changer, drastically cutting down their travel time. The group didn't waste a second, activating the formation to exit the Jian estate. When the world stopped spinning, they were already near Venerable Mantra's moon, Washing Lake. Then began the breakneck race against the clock. As they blurred across the landscape, Fang Chen attempted to contact the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. He pulled out a tool he hadn't touched in ages for the task, the moon mirror. A flicker of doubt crossed his eyes. The only reason he'd stopped using it was because a fragment had been lost. He was terrified that if someone found it, they could eavesdrop on their every word. But with the situation reaching a boiling point, he couldn't afford to be paranoid. He sent out a message immediately. Pick a good name who's currently in the pavilion. The moon mirror emitted a series of rapid pings. Death Diary, Main Queen, are you safe right now? Flowerbed, Uncle, I'm here. Do you have orders for us? Never a buzzkill, I've got great news. I finally broke through to the nascent soul realm. Fang Chen breathed a sigh of relief. They were all being smart. No one had leaked any sensitive info about the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion or their real identities. Pick a good name, perfect timing. I've got some bad news. The Jian Family's war corpses are coming. They're powerful enough to slaughter the Giant King. The moon mirror went silent for a heartbeat, then erupted with a flood of notifications. Death Diary, when are they hitting? Do I have time to pack my bags and bolt? Main Queen, don't come back for now. Wait for our signal. Flowerbed, I'm contacting the pavilion master now. I'll get everyone evacuated immediately. Never a buzzkill, wait. So my breakthrough was for nothing. Fang Chen was at a loss for words. Out of the whole bunch, only Xiakeoj, Flowerbed, had a sane reaction. His niece was clearly the only one on his wavelength. Having delivered the warning, his goal was met, but just as he was about to put the moon mirror away, another ping echoed out. So you all know each other. Fang Chen stared at the unexpected line of text, his heart skipping a beat. The lost fragment. Someone had definitely picked it up. He and his team had a strict protocol: always start with your codename, so everyone knew who was talking. This person had just blurted out a question. It was an intruder. He knew Xiakeoj and the others likely had the same grim look on their faces right now. Fang Chen paused, then typed, "Pick a good name, who are you?" The reply was instantaneous, just like you. "I'm the owner of a moon mirror fragment." "Pick a good name, sir. We use this for team communications. Could you please return it to us?" "Since when did the Moon Venerable's property belong to you?" This person even knew about the Moon Venerable. "Pick a good name. The device is useless to you. I'll give you a treasure in exchange for its return." "I'm not exactly hurting for treasures." "Pick a good name. A grain of chrono dust." There was a long pause before a message appeared. "You even have chrono dust. You're more interesting than you look." "Unfortunately, I've already left the Taking Grand Province. We're too far apart to make a trade." Fang Chen frowned, so this person was from another province entirely. That actually made him feel a bit better. If they were separated by an entire province, the threat they posed was significantly lower. After thinking for a moment, Fang Chen typed one last message. "Pick a good name to all members. The Moon Mirror is officially suspended starting today. No more messages until the lost fragment is recovered." Flowerbed understood. Death Diary got it, loud and clear. "Main Queen, that's a shame. Never a buzzkill. Well, someone certainly killed the vibe." The unified cold shoulder clearly didn't sit well with the outsider. "I have no intention of spying on your little secrets. There's no need to treat me like a plague." Everyone ignored her, and the moon mirror finally went quiet. Starting today, it was under an indefinite lockdown. This left the newcomer feeling a pang of guilt. Their intrusion had forced the entire team into a moon mirror lockout. "I mean no harm. If you need it, I can even offer a bit of help." Still, silence was the only response. "For instance, you don't need to worry about that Jian Family war corpse." Fang Chen, who had been clutching the moon mirror the whole time, felt his eyes sharpen at those words. "Pick a good name, explain." The person on the other side seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. "The Jian Family war corpse only hunts ancient giants. It doesn't target Central Land denizens." Was that true? Why hadn't Jian Lanjiang mentioned it? He turned to the man beside him and tested the waters. "Senior, is that war corpse really that dangerous?" Jian Lanjiang blinked. "It can kill a giant king, so of course it's incredibly dangerous. Why do you ask?" Fang Chen pressed further. "Besides ancient giants, has it ever killed anyone else?" That stumped Jian Lanjiang. After a long moment of searching his memory, he replied, "Now that you mention it, aside from the ancient giants, it really hasn't killed a normal person." Fang Chen's heart gave a jolt. Who was this person? Even Patriarch Jian didn't know the secrets of the war corpse, yet this stranger did. "Pick a good name, I'll take your word for it. For now. If you have any questions in the future, just ask. Don't treat me like a stranger." "Pick a good name, sure. How about you send over a heaven tier technique for me to practice?" The chat went dead silent. It took a long time for a reply to pop up. "Actually, maybe treat me like a little bit of a stranger." "Pick a good name, Stingy." That completely shut the other side down. What kind of person asks for a heaven tier technique the first time they meet, before they've even met? Was this a real team or some moon mirror scam ring? "Pick a good name, let's use code names. Tag your messages with your name from now on." Rich Bloom understood. Fang Chen nearly choked. Rich Bloom, was he talking to some wealthy old lady? "Pick a good name, I'm looking for a benefactor to help me move up." "Rich Bloom." Fang Chen shook his head and tucked the moon mirror away. For now, this person was far away and seemed harmless. If they continued to be helpful and passed his tests, he might consider recruiting them as a new member. Somewhere in a distant province, within a cold palace floating in the sky, a beautiful woman in flowing celestial robes toyed with a moon mirror. A brilliant divine halo shimmered behind her head, her skin as pale as jade. Interesting, she murmured. Just then, a maid at the 7-Aperture nascent soul realm approached. Exalted One, Sage Wanyan requests your presence. The woman's brow furrowed slightly. Tell him this. There is a senior in the Taking Grand Province who has forbidden outsiders from entering the Sage realm there. My trip was unsuccessful. I failed to break through. The Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. When Fang Chen returned, he found everything just as he had left it. He finally breathed a sigh of relief. They had made it back in time. Patriarch Jian, seniors, please hide yourselves. We're going to catch them completely off guard. Jian Lanjiang nodded. Each of them suppressed their auras and vanished into their hiding spots. Fang Chen looked into the distance, a playful smirk on his face. If the War Corpse didn't kill normal people, then it was no threat to them at all. He was actually looking forward to it. He wanted to see the look on the faces of the 4 White Bone Alliance members and Wang Changsu when they charged in, howling for blood, only to find their War Corpse was a dud. And what would their expressions be when they realized they'd walked straight into an ambush of 10-8-Aperture nascent soul experts? He turned and headed into the depths of the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion, soon sensing the presence of Venerable Mantra and Fairy Cloud Raymond. Everyone else has evacuated. Why are you two still here? Fang Chen materialized in front of a grand hall. Fairy Cloud Raymond's face lit up with joy, which was quickly replaced by worry. Has Venerable Zinking been here? What? Fang Chen's heart skipped a beat. Why was he here? Had Venerable Zinking already pinned it on him? Did he have actual proof? If so, just offloading the void, flow power, might not be enough to throw him off the scent. The man was like a recurring nightmare. I need to find a way to end him for good. My Fang Venerable Zinking was planning to raid the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion, but he backed off once he realized Venerable Mantra was here. I'm worried he's lurking somewhere, just waiting for you to show your face. Fairy Cloud Raymond stepped forward, wrapping her arms gently around his waist from behind. Her voice was soft and urgent. You need to leave. Get as far away from this province as possible. Fang Chen patted the back of her hand reassuringly. It hasn't come to that yet. With the life-saving lotus, I can cross half of the Taking Grand Province in an instant. It's enough to escape Venerable Zinking at least once. Fleeing to another province was a last resort. Suddenly, Fairy Cloud Raymond was pulled away, and someone else took her place, wrapping their arms around him. An unfamiliar sensation pressed against his back, making Fang Chen's face flush a deep red. My Fang, a cool, detached voice whispered. It sent a jolt through him. Venerable Mantra. You're the one holding on here. When you wake up, don't you dare pin this on me. Knowing how petty she could be, he knew she'd probably still find a way to cause him trouble later. That thought sparked a bold, risky idea in his mind. He pulled out the immeasurable ring. It had been drained dry during his fight with Demon Emperor Kankyong and had sat idle ever since. Why not use Venerable Mantra's power to recharge it? If she was going to hold a grudge anyway, he might as well give her a real reason. Hey, want to play a game? Fang Chen held the immeasurable ring, funneled a spark of his power of the nascent soul into it, and the ring began to glow with a faint green light. Your turn. Let's see how green you can make it. Venerable Mantra snatched the ring and followed his lead, channeling a fraction of her own power. In an instant, the immeasurable ring darkened to a shade so deep it was almost black. It was the ultimate transformation, a color beyond dark green, meaning the ring was now fully charged to its absolute limit. A pair of cultivators at the late nascent soul stage had once used these rings to rule the world unchecked. Their power was legendary. This would be a massive ace up his sleeve at the sky-touching black pillar. Thanks, Mantra. Now, do you think you could let go? Fang Chen took back the ring and tried to push her away, but she only tightened her grip. Fairy Cloud Raymond sighed helplessly. Leaning in, she whispered into Venerable Mantra's ear, Liu Ruling is here. Venerable Mantra practically jumped off him. Looking like a startled cat, she scrambled behind Fairy Cloud Raymond and peeked cautiously toward the door. Fang Chen was speechless. Whatever Liu Ruling had said to her in private must have been terrifying if even a powerhouse like Mantra was this spooked. Suddenly, several powerful auras swept toward them. Fang Chen's eyes narrowed, a cold smile playing on his lips. And here they are. Cloud Raiment, you and Venerable Mantra stay inside. I'll go out and greet our guests. He vaulted into the air, riding a cloud above the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion to face the intruders who weren't even bothering to hide their presence. As the distance closed, both sides locked eyes. Emerging from a thick black mist were the master of the White Bone Alliance and 3 nascent soul cultivators. Among them was Jiao Huangyan. The 3-aperture nascent soul expert Fang Chen had sparred with Back at the Fire worship cult. Trailing behind was Wang Changsu, her face hidden behind a mysterious conical hat. The moment the master of the White Bone Alliance spotted Fang Chen, his eyes burned with murderous intent. Brat, where is everyone else from the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion? Realizing the pavilion was a ghost town, they immediately went on high alert. Out on a stroll, Fang Chen replied casually. What, aren't you guys afraid of Venerable Mantra? The master of the White Bone Alliance scoffed, his eyes scanning the surroundings. Don't try to hide behind her name. That trick won't work twice. He raised his hand and a dense black mist erupted. From within the shadows, a corpse clad in black armor and a cold metal mask flickered into existence. The moment it appeared, dark clouds swirled overhead, and the ground began to tremble, letting out an agonized groan as if the world itself couldn't handle the weight of its presence. It was as if this being was an abomination that the heavens and earth simply could not tolerate. To Fang Chen's horror, his knees buckled. An overwhelming, primal urge to bow down and worship the figure washed over him, almost forcing him to the ground. He gritted his teeth, the sharp sting of pain snapping him back to his senses, but his mind was reeling. Even when facing the murderous intent of Venerable Evil Crow, he had never felt this crushing need to submit. And this was just a corpse that had been dead for ages. If this thing were still alive, the thought was terrifying. Fang Chen noticed the corpse's hands locked tight around the slender black blade, frozen mid-strike, as if still cleaving an unseen enemy. It was clear, even in his dying breath, he had been fighting to the bitter end. No one can protect you this time, the master of the White Bone Alliance declared coldly. With the war corpse in his possession, his confidence was absolute. Hand over the blood coffin, then end your own life right here. Do that, and I'll spare the rest of the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. I won't say it a second time. Fang Chen's gaze shifted, his eyes landing playfully on the man in a bamboo hat skulking at the very back of the group. To the friend in the back, Fang Chen called out, teaming up with the White Bone Alliance is like making a deal with the devil. The second they're done with the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion, you're next on the chopping block. Why don't you join our side instead? Hidden beneath his hat, Wang Changsu frowned at Fang Chen. There was something irritatingly familiar about the kid, like a face he'd seen in passing but just couldn't place. Save your breath, your little mind games won't work on me. I already have an agreement with the experts of the White Bone Alliance. Once this is over, they take the blood coffin, and the war corpse is mine. No fighting, no backstabbing, just good business. Hearing that painfully clipped villain's speech, Fang Chen let out an amused chuckle. This scheming bastard talked a good game, but he was definitely plotting to throw his teammates under the bus. If Fang Chen had to guess, the guy wanted both the war corpse and the blood coffin. Right on cue, Wang Chengxiao's voice echoed directly into Fang Chen's mind. Brother, keep a straight face. I'm using mental transmission, they can't hear us. Truth is, the White Bone Alliance forced me into this. I have zero beef with the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. How about we team up and wipe them out instead? What do you say? See, the guy's playbook was as predictable as it was shameless. Fang Chen eagerly replied in his mind, that's fantastic. Wang Chengxiao's eyes glinted. How strong is the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion's lineup? When the War Corpse and Venerable Mantra start clashing, can your people hold off the White Bone Alliance's 4 nascent soul experts? We'd be cutting it close, Fang Chen admitted, but if you lend a hand and blindside them, it's a guaranteed win. Hearing this, Wang Chengxia breathed a sigh of relief. His master plan was to let the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion and the White Bone Alliance bleed each other dry. Leaving him to effortlessly snatch both the War Corpse and the blood coffin, he'd been sweating over whether the pavilion had the firepower to actually drag the fight out, but now, everything was falling perfectly into place. No problem, Wang Chengxiao replied, go all out. When the moment is right, I'll catch them completely off guard. Feigning joy, Fang Chen asked, you mean it? Wang Chengxiao nodded, relax. I've never lied a day in my life. Fang Chen said, all right, I'll trust you this once, we'll play it your way. Severing the mental transmission, Wang Chengxiao sneered inwardly, what a gullible little idiot, like hell I'd actually help, it's much better if you all butcher each other. Losing the last of his patience, the master of the White Bone Alliance said with ice in his voice, "I won't repeat myself. I'll just force Venerable Mantra out instead." He slapped his palm onto the war corpse's shoulder. As if awakening from a deep slumber, the corpse shuddered. A flickering aura of dark light peeled off its decaying flesh, coalescing right in front of him into a perfect, phantom replica of the corpse itself. Gripping its dark battle blade, the phantom launched itself at Fang Chen. It didn't give him a single microsecond to react. Both the blade and the phantom sliced cleanly through Fang Chen's body. This was the exact strike the war corpse had used to instantly execute the Giant King. How could someone like Fang Chen possibly resist it? The master of the White Bone Alliance kept his eyes locked on the inner depths of the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion, waiting for Venerable Mantra to finally show herself. Yet even after Fang Chen was impaled, the Venerable was a no-show. Was she seriously just going to let him die? Wang Chengxiao's face also darkened. What the hell? If Venerable Mantra doesn't step in, this is just a one-sided slaughter. How am I supposed to pick their pockets if it's over instantly? Just as everyone was trying to process the scene, a loud cough broke the silence. To their utter disbelief, it was Fang Chen. Despite having a phantom war corpse rip straight through his chest, he didn't have a single scratch on him. He was literally just coughing. Clutching his chest with a pained expression, Fang Chen grumbled, "You damn rich hag. You could have mentioned that while the war corpse doesn't kill ordinary mortals, it still feels like someone is washing your lungs with ice water. I'm settling this score with you later." He looked back at the dumbfounded master of the White Bone Alliance and his crew, flashing a half-smile. "Well, are you surprised? Did I blow your minds? The war corpse only executes ancient giants. Using it against living beings from the central land realm is entirely useless." How is that even possible? The master of the White Bone Alliance felt a sudden chill of impending doom. He grabbed the war corpse and barked, "Fall back." Fang Chen's smile twisted into a cold sneer. "You already crashed the party. You really think I'm letting you leave? Patriarch Jian, it's your turn." Jian Lanjiang had been chomping at the bit. These were the very bastards who had unleashed the Nine-Aperture nascent soul, murdering 3 of his 8-aperture nascent soul clansmen and slaughtering over a dozen regular family members. His eyes burning crimson, he roared, "Attack! Leave no survivors." Within the array formation, the shackles on 10 8-aperture nascent souls were snapped. They surged forward as one, each radiating an overwhelming aura of absolute, crushing despair. The Jian Family's 8-aperture nascent souls. How did the Jian Family even track us down? The master of the White Bone Alliance's voice trembled. Then, his eyes locked onto Fang Chen's mocking grin, and pure murderous intent flooded his vision. "It was you. You still dared to show your faces with Venerable Mantra standing guard," Fang Chen said coldly. "If I don't exterminate you, I'll never sleep soundly again." Even Venerable Zinking didn't have the guts to make a move on the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. Yet you ruthless scumbags pulled out all the stops to strike. If even a single one of you survives today, it'll be endless trouble later. In that moment, the terrifying truth dawned on the master of the White Bone Alliance. Day's assault on the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion had been a trap set by Fang Chen all along. And they had dived right into it. Gritting his teeth, he desperately tried to break through the encirclement and escape. But a single 8-aperture nascent soul was enough to wipe out his entire crew, let alone a grand total of 10. There was zero chance of walking away from this. The second the Jian Family experts struck, the peerless might of the 8-aperture nascent soul realm was put on full, brutal display. In the blink of an eye, 2 White Bone Alliance experts were pulverized into bloody paste. Not even their souls managed to escape before being erased from existence. Watching the carnage, Fang Chen winced in pain at the wasted loot and shouted from the sidelines, "Hey, go easy on them. You're breaking the good stuff." It seemed one of the 8-aperture nascent souls actually listened to his advice. Jiao Huangyan had his Dao body completely obliterated, leaving his terrified soul form to flee while desperately clutching a fan. But before he could get far, Fang Chen yanked him right back with a soul imprisoning lock. Fang Chen remembered the fan in Jiao Huangyan's hand all too well. It could swallow an enemy's attack whole and spit it right back in their face. And now it was his. Yoink! Fang Chen snatched the fan right out of his grasp and shoved him straight into the nether soul crystal. Jiao Huangyan tumbled inside, utterly bewildered. Looking around, he realized he wasn't alone. He had 3 new cellmates. He didn't recognize the pretty woman or Master Xuanxing, but he instantly recognized Reverend Blackbone of the Tay in Sect. "Senior Haigu, what are you doing in here?" Jiao Huangyan stared in utter shock. Wasn't this guy the Supreme Yin Sect Master's right-hand man? He was supposed to be glued to his side at all times. Reverend Blackbone covered his face, coughing awkwardly. I am not Haigu, young man, you have the wrong person. It suddenly clicked for Jiao Huangyan. Just like him, Reverend Black Bone had also been captured by Fang Chen. His own face flushed with embarrassment as he quickly backpedaled. My apologies. For the record, I'm not Jiao Huangyan either. I just look a bit like him, only a little bit. Back in the real world. It had only taken the blink of an eye for the battle to be reduced to just Wang Qingxiu and the master of the White Bone Alliance scrambling for their lives. The former tossed out a barrage of life-saving artifacts, but against the relentless assault of 4-8-Aperture nascent souls. His magical artifacts shattered one by one, leaving him constantly dodging by a hair's breadth. Meanwhile, the master of the White Bone Alliance was getting absolutely battered. His Dao body was cracking apart, his guts spilling out. He was mere seconds away from violently detonating and dying right then and there. In a desperate last stand, he spat out a demonic black stone carving that practically boiled with dark energy. Stay back, he bellowed. This is a venerable's item. If I crush it, even a venerable could die from the blast. The color drained completely from Jian Lanjiang and the 4-8-Aperture nascent souls sieging him. The 4-8-Aperture nascent souls felt it the strongest, an innate, visceral dread. The demonic black stone carving was loaded with a terrifying origin source capable of instantly erasing everyone in the room. For a moment, no one dared to press the attack. Instantly breaking free from the siege, the master of the White Bone Alliance blasted backward into the sky. He threw a glance at the spots where his 3 comrades had been pulverized into nothingness, his eyes swelling with grief and pure, raging fury. Their entire squad had marched in on orders, and now they were all dead. He was the sole survivor. But what made his blood boil over into blinding rage was the fact that a single person had orchestrated this entire bloodbath. First, he slaughtered every last member of the White Bone Alliance. Now, he had orchestrated the deaths of 3 of his own companions. He glared at Fang Chen, his face twisted in pure, unadulterated hatred. Fang Chen, just you wait, I'll summon my master to the Taking Grand Province. He'll wash your Heavenly Secrets Pavilion in blood. When he arrives, not even the venerables of the Taking Grand Province will be able to save you. The master behind the White Bone Alliance was the very threat Fang Chen dreaded most. Letting them escape last time had left a lingering anxiety in his mind. There was no way he'd let a single one of them walk away today. You're not getting that chance. Having seen the sect master of the Great Yin Sect saved at the last second by Venerable Evil Crow's magical artifact, Fang Chen was already on high alert against the master of the White Bone Alliance's demonic black stone carving. He had already gripped the beast horn tightly. Bringing it straight to his lips, he unleashed his move. Soul Imprisoning Lock, the devastating 9-layer nascent soul stage soul attack pierced directly into the master of the White Bone Alliance's mind. The master of the White Bone Alliance's face drained of color as he roared, "Don't you dare!" In a moment of sheer desperation, he tried to crush the demonic black stone carving, but an instant later, his soul was forcefully bound. Stripped of all bodily control, he plummeted dead, weight out of the sky. He fought wildly against the mental chains, desperately trying to regain command of his limbs to activate the demonic black stone carving. It was the only thing that could save his life. But Fang Chen hadn't made his move just to let his prey slip away. His frigid voice cut through the air. Soul Shocking Spike. The Soul Imprisoning Lock was a precaution to stop the cornered master of the White Bone Alliance from using the demonic black stone carving. The Soul Shocking Spike was to send him to hell. Squelch, the ethereal spike violently impaled his 7-Aperture nascent soul. A blood-curdling scream echoed from the deepest layers of his consciousness as his very soul was shattered to pieces. Yet, in a twist that caught Fang Chen completely off guard, the tightly gripped demonic black stone carving sensed the master of the White Bone Alliance's peril. Wisps of dark, demonic energy surged from the artifact, actively mending his fractured soul. As his fading consciousness snapped back together, he clung to the demonic black stone carving in absolute agony and shrieked, "Die!" Fang Chen's pupils constricted. Soul Shocking Spike, Little Killin. The exact moment the Soul Shocking Spike launched, Little Killin vanished into thin air. It reappeared right in front of the master of the White Bone Alliance, snapping its tiny jaws firmly around the demonic black stone carving. But even racked with pain, the master of the White Bone Alliance refused to let go, holding on so tightly that Little Killin couldn't yank it free. Seeing this, Fang Chen stopped holding back. Ignoring the extreme toll it took on him, he pushed the beast horn to its absolute limit. Soul Shocking Spike, Soul Shocking Spike. With a sharp crack, the already heavily cracked beast horn finally gave out, shattering under the immense pressure. Bombarded by a relentless barrage of soul-shocking spikes, the master of the White Bone Alliance was pushed past the threshold of unbearable agony. His death grip loosened just enough for little Killin to snatch the demonic black stone carving away. Give it back. The only answer he received was a brutal, coordinated ambush from the Jian Family's 8-Aperture nascent soul experts. Fueled by lingering terror and pure adrenaline, they struck with absolute lethal intent, refusing to give the master of the White Bone Alliance even a sliver of a chance. Boom, the sky itself seemed to cave in, fracturing into a dense web of pitch-black spatial tears. The shockwaves blasted colossal, 1,000-foot craters into the earth below. Amidst the billowing smoke and soaring heat, the master of the White Bone Alliance was obliterated, leaving absolutely nothing behind. A collective sigh of relief washed over the group. That demonic black stone carving had scared them half to death, considering it contained the full-powered strike of a venerable. Realizing this, all eyes turned to little Killin, who had already trotted back to Fang Chen's side with the demonic black stone carving in its mouth. Fang Chen snatched up the carving, his mouth suddenly running dry. This held a devastating strike from a soul transformation venerable. He was no longer completely defenseless against venerable heart. Bane, used right, this could seriously cripple the old bastard, maybe even take his life. His palms trembled with pure excitement as a cold smirk crept into his thoughts. Old dog, weren't you looking for me? I've got a hell of a surprise waiting for you. Right then, Wang Changsu's desperate pleas echoed in his mind. Bro, we're on the same side. Tell them to stop hitting me. Fang Chen glanced over, stunned to see Wang Changsu still breathing. The master of the White Bone Alliance had been instantly vaporized by 4-8-Aperture nascent soul experts, yet this guy was still kicking. Aside from his smashed bamboo hat and some nasty injuries, he was very much alive. Talk about being tough to kill. His eyes darted thoughtfully before Fang Chen ordered, I need this one alive. The 4-8-Aperture nascent soul experts looked to Jian Lanzhong for his approval. Naturally, Jian Lanzhong nodded in agreement, prompting his men to stand down. Escaping by the skin of his teeth, Wang Changsu was dragged over and tossed at Fang Chen's feet. He pitifully lunged forward, hugging Fang Chen's leg. Bro, I was on your side all along. Why did you let them beat me up too? This shameless scoundrel really knew how to grovel when he had to. He never, in his wildest dreams, imagined the War Corpse would fail. Worse yet, he had lured the Jian Family elites into an ambush, fully expecting a mutually assured destruction where he could swoop in and reap the rewards. That fantasy clearly hadn't panned out. Fang Chen gave him a half-smile. I might be able to forgive you, but you unleashed the Jian Family's War Corpse and caused massive casualties. They definitely won't let you off the hook. Wang Changsu nervously glanced back, instantly meeting a wall of murderous glares. Gulping hard, he cowardly shrank behind Fang Chen. Bro, save me just this once. I'll be your workhorse for life. Not a single syllable out of this guy's mouth could be trusted. Give him a chance, and he'd undoubtedly stab Fang Chen in the back. But Fang Chen decided to save Wang Changsu anyway, because the very first time he witnessed Wang Qingxiao's replication ability, Fang Chen had hatched the perfect plan to throw Venerable Heart, Bane, completely off his trail. He just needed to have Wang Qingxiao replicate the void, flow lightning force, and let him take the fall for everything. Smiling, Fang Chen hauled him to his feet. Brother Wang, there's no need for such drastic words. Wang Qingxiao looked genuinely shocked. You know me. He hadn't told anyone his real name here. Fang Chen's smirk deepened. Brother Wang is truly forgetful. You and I go way back. Wang Qingxiao racked his brain. He had thought Fang Chen looked incredibly familiar, but he just couldn't place the face. He awkwardly cleared his throat. I won't lie to you, Brother Fang. Not too long ago, I crossed paths with a twisted demoness. She tortured me in every way imaginable, heavily damaging my soul. Some of my past memories are a bit fuzzy. Do you mind giving me a hint about how we met? Everything clicked for Fang Chen. No wonder Wang Qingxiao hadn't recognized him. Given that he'd been missing for months and returned decked out in priceless treasures, he'd absolutely ventured somewhere deeply secretive. His story about a sadistic demoness was likely true. He pulled out a blood skirt and dangled it right in front of Wang Qingxiao's face. Like a dam bursting, the missing pieces of Wang Qingxiao's memory flooded back. That's the blood skirt of the Crimson Devil, great venerable from the demon race secret realm. You're Fang Chen, the guy who impersonated Lu Tingliang. My junior sister and I framed you. Wang Qingxiao froze, then frantically backpedaled. No, no, no. Not framed, it was just a misunderstanding. We bonded over battle. No wonder I felt an instant connection when I saw you. It was like finding a long, lost brother. We're radored, I homies. He threw his arms around Fang Chen, but from an angle where Fang Chen couldn't see, he wore a grimace uglier than a sobbing fit. What kind of karma is this? I finally run into an old acquaintance, and it turns out to be someone I screwed over. This is way worse than falling into that witch's hands. Don't sweat it, Brother Wang. I never let things in the past get to me. Fang Chen patted him on the shoulder, looking for all the world like the bigger person. That little grudge, I moved on from that ages ago. What can I say? Wang Chengxiao had practically showered him with gifts. He couldn't stay mad, not even if he tried. Wang Chengxiao looked at him skeptically. Was anyone actually this generous? He had nearly gotten Fang Chen killed, after all. Brother Fang, it really wasn't my fault. Fang Chen turned to Jian Lanzhang. Patriarch Jian, do me a favor, let my brother off the hook this once. Jian Lanzhang was beaming as he inspected the recovered war corpse. He owed its return entirely to Fang Chen. How could he refuse such a small request? Consider him yours to deal with, young friend. Fang Chen said, hear that, Brother Wang, you're free. For a brief moment, Wang Chengxiao was actually touched. In his entire life, no one had ever treated him with this much kindness. But then he reconsidered. Don't nice guys always get screwed over? Immediately, his mind started racing, plotting how to swindle the blood cough in the very treasure the White Bone Alliance was obsessed with away from Fang Chen. Based on the White Bone Alliance's tone, that blood coffin was a legendary artifact. Of course, on the outside, he put on a show of tearful gratitude. I'll never forget this, Fang Chen. I owe you my life. If you ever run into trouble, I'll be there to bleed for you. Fang Chen waved him off. Don't mention it. I've always tried to build bridges. My life is full of mentors and friends. I don't have enemies. Even if I run into trouble, it's nothing I can't handle on my own. You're free to go, Brother Wang. Leave? Not a chance. Not without that blood coffin. His eyes darted around as he put on a serious face. I can't do that. You saved my life. If I left without making things right, what would people say about me? What kind of trouble were you talking about? I might not be much, but I've got a few tricks up my sleeve. Let me help you. Listening to all those lofty promises, a faint, imperceptible smirk touched the corner of Fang Chen's mouth. He knew Wang Chengxiao wouldn't budge until he got his hands on that coffin. Letting him go was just a test. Since he was still eyeing the blood coffin, he wasn't going anywhere. Now he'd be the perfect partner to help Fang Chen copy the void, flow lightning force, and fire energy. Fang Chen sighed with feigned reluctance. Fine. I suppose you won't be able to rest until you've helped me with a small favor. Wang Chengxiao sneered internally. Sucker, my help comes with a steep price tag. Don't go crying when it's time to pay the bill. Outwardly, he thumped his chest. Say the word, Brother Fang. I'll get it done right now. He just needed a way to lure Fang Chen away from the Jian Family powerhouses so he could make his move. Jian Lanzhang put away the war corpse and spoke up. Young friend Fang. He stepped forward and grasped Fang Chen's hand with profound gratitude. You were already a benefactor to the Jian family, and now you've returned our war corpse. Please, you must come back with us. I'll roll out the red carpet for you. Fang Chen had no interest in banquets. He gave a polite bow. I appreciate the offer, Patriarch Jian, but I have urgent business to attend to. I'll visit another time. Jian Lanzhang looked him over, assessing his power as he stroked his beard. You only recently reached the 3-Aperture nascent soul stage, didn't you? Your foundation isn't stable yet. With the great tribulation of the ancient giants looming, that level of power isn't going to cut it. Fang Chen looked grim. He knew all too well that his cultivation realm was his weakest link. Unfortunately, it had been less than 10 days since his breakthrough at the fire worship cult. His foundation was still shaky. Forcing open the 4th aperture now would leave a crack in his foundation, risking his future soul transformation. Jian Lanzhang smiled warmly. Since you recovered our war corpse, allow me to repay the favor. I will help you stabilize and advance your cultivation. The White Bone Alliance really thought they were cooking with this one. They orchestrated a stakes heist, stole the Jian family's ultimate war corpse nuke, and marched onto Fang Chen's doorstep like absolute raid bosses. But then, silence. Absolute cinema. It turns out their legendary god, Slayer, is literally programmed to only hit ancient giants. Against humans. It's a glorified paperweight. Bro really brought a nuke to a sword fight, only to realize it's a bubble blower. Now they're trapped in a 1v10 ambush against 8 Aperture experts with zero escape plan. If the master of the White Bone Alliance survives this level of embarrassment, the trauma will kill him before the sword does. Here's the real question in a world where even the most forbidden artifacts come with a fine print user manual: is Fang Chen a tactical genius? Or is the entire cultivation world just collectively losing its last 2 brain cells? Choose your side. Is this peak strategy or peak fraud? Jian Lanjiang smiled. Since you helped us recover the War Corpse, little friend Fang, I'll help you push your cultivation realm even further as a reward. My Jian family possesses a slaughtering steel. It's inscribed with various devastating slaughter arts and can project a phantom that matches your absolute limit. If you battle that projection day and night, it'll take no more than 3 days to stabilize your 3-Aperture nascent soul foundation. Fang Chen felt a surge of excitement. There was only one true way to temper a foundation endless life and death combat. But such opportunities were rare and incredibly dangerous. Fang Chen had faced plenty of danger over the past 10 days, but rarely an opponent he could go all out against. The Jian family's mysterious projection was the perfect opportunity. He changed his mind instantly. Then I'll be imposing on the Jian family once more. He turned to Wang Chengxiao. Brother Wang. Before he could finish, Wang Chengxiao interjected. I'll wait for you outside the Jian family estate. My debt isn't paid yet, and I'm not going anywhere. Whatever happens, I'm getting my hands on that blood coffin first. Then, we'll get the hell out of Taking Grand Province before the Ancient Giants' War reaches us. Fang Chen felt relieved. With the blood coffin as bait, there was no way Wang Chengxiao would vanish. He glanced back at the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. Now that the White Bone Alliance was wiped out, the external threat was gone. With Venerable Mantra holding down the fort and the Tiger Demon Emperor's family on their way, the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion was safe enough until the ancient giants arrived. There was nothing left to worry about. He could finally focus all his attention on dealing with that Venerable. He used the moon mirror to let Liu Qingxian and the others know the danger had passed, then left with the Jian family. 3 days later, above the verdant mountains of the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion, Liu Qingxian and Yu Mingzhu soared into the sky. Liu Qingxian sighed with regret. I don't know when it started, but Fang Chen is always in such a rush. Spending even a moment alone with him feels like a luxury. The last time we truly had a moment together was after the battle at Boundary Mountain, holding each other on the Great Wall. Since then, nothing. Tell me about it. Yu Mingzhu sighed. Suddenly, she sensed something. A faint, colorful light swirled in her eyes as she stared toward the direction where Fang Chen had disappeared. In an instant, her face drained of color, replaced by pure shock. Am I seeing this right? How can someone's providence be this powerful? Liu Qingxian looked where she was pointing, but saw nothing. Better than Fang Chen's providence, she asked curiously. To her, Fang Chen's luck was already insane. He'd gone from a nobody with no spiritual roots in Lone Boat City to a rising star in the Taking Grand Province, pulling everyone around him up with him. That kind of luck was supposed to be 1 in a billion, right? Yu Mingzhu shook her head. Our husband's providence is complicated. It's a mix of fortune and disaster, cloudy and full of uncertainty. But the guy next to him, his providence is like a blazing rainbow. He's like the chosen one. Liu Qingxian tilted her head. A blazing rainbow? How big are we talking? Yu Mingzhu thought for a moment, then held up her pinky finger. This is our husband's providence. Then she pointed to the massive Green Lai mountain range behind them, and that is his. Liu Qingxian's eyes widened as she stared at the mountains in shock. Are you serious? Is it really that dramatic? I'm not exaggerating at all, Yu Mingzhu said, still stunned. I feel like if you added up the providence of every living soul in the Taking Grand Province, it still wouldn't match his. Liu Qingxian was speechless. No wonder Yu Mingzhu called him the chosen one. This level of luck was just broken. She suddenly felt annoyed. That's so unfair. Why does Fang Chen only get a tiny bit while that guy gets everything? Yu Mingzhu was equally irritated. Why should anyone have more providence than her man? But then, her eyes narrowed as she noticed something strange. Wait, something's wrong with his providence. Normally, a person's luck is fixed unless they've cultivated something like the Imperial Kai observation technique to steal it from others. But his providence is leaking away, and it's flowing right toward our husband. Liu Qingxian gasped. You mean Fang Chen is absorbing his providence? Yu Mingzhu crossed her arms, a smirk playing on her lips. Exactly. This guy might just be our husband's lucky star. An idea struck her, and she gave a mischievous grin. Since he's such a lucky star, I'm sure he won't mind if I take a little bite of that providence, right? And if I'm taking some, it only makes sense to grab a bit more for you too, Qingxian. And since we're both getting some, we can't leave out Fairy Cloud, Raymond, or the Foxheart Demon Emperor, can we? She immediately activated her secret technique, opening her mouth to take a gentle sip of that massive, receding providence. Instantly, a plume of 5, colored spiritual mist, visible only to her, stripped away from Wang Chengxiao and drifted over the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. The mist split into 4 streaks, merging into each of the 4 women. Did it work? I don't feel any different, Liu Qingxian said, looking around. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. I'm not sure either, Yu Mingzhu admitted. It's my first time stealing someone's providence. I don't know what the side effects are. Just then, a sharp whistle pierced the air. The 2 women looked up to see a small, glowing red cauldron trailing sparks as it plummeted from the sky. With a loud boom, it slammed into the ground right at their feet. The lid popped off, revealing 4 golden tier, 6 spirit elixirs resting peacefully inside. Liu Qingxian's eyes were glued to the cauldron. Is this how luck works? It's that simple. Treasure just falls from the sky and lands at your feet. Yu Mingzhu looked just as stunned. So when your providence is off the charts, you literally get hit by treasure just by walking around. Man, I've been living such a struggle until now. She was practically green with envy over Wang Chengxiao's providence, but then she remembered she had the Imperial Kai observation technique. Why worry? If she ever ran low on resources, she'd just find Wang Chengxiao, take a few more sips of his luck, and wait for the heavens to drop more loot. In that moment, the doors to a whole new world slowly swung open before her. Meanwhile, in the far eastern reaches of the Taking Grand Province, a middle-aged man stood suspended in the sky. He was wreathed in dual currents of ice and fire, a dim divine halo glowing behind his head. The raw, demonic energy radiating from him made the very heavens tremble. But right now he was staring blankly at a fading rift in the void. A look of sheer bewilderment crossed his face. My batch of ice, fire, divine pills, the pills and the furnace just up and ran away. A flame-colored aura orb the size of an eyeball floated over his shoulder, its voice high, pitched and childish. Master? What happened? That guy was running, and then he just tripped. The furnace tumbled right into the void rift. Isn't that a bit too convenient? The man looked up at the sky. It wasn't a coincidence. It was destiny. Destiny, the orb squeaked. So, are we still looking for them, or not? He looked back toward a stumbling figure flickering in the distance. His left eye sparked with frost, while his right smoldered with flames. If it's destiny, let the 4 ice, fire divine pills go. They have found their own path. But as for this Nine-Aperture nascent soul who dared to steal my pills, he will pay the price. Venerable Evil Crow, the one who tried to turn me into a Yin Corpse 6 months ago, was from the Taking Grand Province, wasn't he? Since I'm here, I might as well settle both debts at once. At the Jian Family Plaza, Linyu, you seem like you have something on your mind. A tall, handsome man in his mid-20s withdrew his power of the nascent soul. Jian Linyu stumbled back a few steps, the crimson glow in her eyes receding like a tide. She offered a cupped fist salute. Thank you for your concern, Senior Brother Zong. I'm fine. The man before her was Zong Keisheng, a monstrous talent from the Godspeed Sect, one of the 7 great cults. His cultivation had reached the terrifying level of a 7-aperture nascent soul, and he was known as one of the 18 Scions of Taking. The 18 Scions of Taking were the undisputed top 18 young heavens chosen in the province, all aged between 20 and 30. They were the ones most likely to break through from the peak of the nascent soul realm to divinity. Historically, every expert in the deity transformation realm had emerged from the ranks of the Scions. Very few outsiders ever managed to defy fate like they did. It was no exaggeration to say they were the elite sparks of the Taking Grand Province, each carrying limitless potential. Are you worried about your family's war corpse? Zong Keisheng said comfortingly. Is that why your heart isn't in our sparring? What's done is done. Regret is useless. You need to look forward. Jian Linyu arched an eyebrow. She wondered why Zong Keisheng, who she barely knew, had suddenly shown up at the Jian family estate, acting like an old friend, offering pointers on her cultivation. And showing such concern, it turned out he was just fishing for information about the missing war corpse. Her eyes sharpened. She wouldn't leak family secrets before her grandfather returned. Her mind raced. The war corpse, what about it? I'm distracted because I ran into a peer who's incredibly talented. It rattled my confidence a bit. She used Fang Chen as a convenient shield. Zong Keisheng felt a flicker of admiration. As expected of the granddaughter Jian Lanjiang had personally raised, she caught on to his probing immediately. She already had the poise of a young clan leader, someone who can rattle your confidence, he joked with a warm smile. Could it be one of the 18 scions of taking? She shook her head. He isn't one yet. But he's more than qualified. The image of Fang Chen taking on 2-6, Aperture, and 4-5, Aperture nascent souls from the Jian family all by himself flashed through her mind, leaving a lingering sense of shock. Saying her confidence was rattled might have been an exaggeration, but her pride had definitely taken a hit. Oh, Zhang Qiusheng had only been making small talk, but her answer piqued his interest. How old is he? If it's one of the older guys, 20, 9 or 30, it wouldn't be surprising. They've had a long time to build their foundation and could reach the 7 Aperture nascent soul level at any moment. Jian Linyu gave him a meaningful look. If she remembered correctly, Zhang Qiusheng had become one of the scions in his early 20s, making him one of the youngest, a fact he took great pride in. She couldn't resist deflating his ego. He's 19. Zhang Qiusheng froze. What, 19? The 18 scions usually started at age 20 because it was nearly impossible for anyone younger to reach that level of power. It took years of refinement to meet the minimum standard of the 7 Aperture stage. Are you joking? Even the leader of the scions, the disciple of that venerable expert, only made the cut in his 20s. 19? Do you really expect me to believe that? Seeing his shock, Jian Linyu felt a wave of satisfaction. Good to know I'm not the only one with bruised pride, she thought. She pressed further. He was at the Jian family estate just recently. He single-handedly suppressed 2 of our 6 Aperture and 4 of our 5 Aperture nascent souls. You know how strong our warriors are, right? Zhang Qiusheng's smile vanished, replaced by a grim expression. Because the Jian family practiced slaughter arts, their divine abilities and precious techniques were significantly bolstered by their murderous intent. A 6 Aperture nascent soul from the Jian family going all out could trade blows with a 7 Aperture expert. If a 19-year-old had suppressed 2 of them at once, his strength was incredibly close to the 7 Aperture level. A heavy feeling settled in his chest, the bitter taste of being outclassed. Who is he? Since when did the Taking Grand Province have a monster like that? He asked, frowning. Whoosh, over a dozen powerful auras streaked across the sky above the Jian family estate. Zhang Qiusheng looked up to see Jian Lanzhong, accompanied by 10 shackled 8 Aperture nascent soul experts. He leaped into the air to greet them. Greetings, Patriarch Jian and honored elders. Jian Lanzhong looked surprised to see him, but quickly deduced why he was there. He nodded slightly. It is an honor to have one of the scions visit. Linyu, make sure young Master Zong is well taken care of. After that brief acknowledgement, he turned with a hearty laugh and grabbed Fang Chen's arm. Young friend Fang, I must insist on sharing a few drinks with you today. You have to give this old man the chance. The 10-8 Aperture nascent soul experts chimed in, ushering Fang Chen into the guest hall before he could even object. Zhang Qiusheng and Jian Linyu were left standing alone on the plaza. Zhang Qiusheng watched in confusion as the boy was treated like a celebrity by the Patriarch and the elders. Linyu, who is that? He asked. As a disciple of the Godspeed sect and one of the 18 scions, he had been completely sidelined in favor of this stranger. The grand reception given to the newcomer was a stark contrast to his own treatment, and it stung. Jian Linyu gave a knowing smile. That's the man I told you about. His name is Fang Chen, the champion of the ancient road to heaven, the one who moved the sky-touching black pillar, and the peerless heavens chosen of the fire worship cult. Zhang Qiusheng might not have known about the last point, but the first 2 were massive events that had set the world ablaze. Who could have guessed that he was the famous Fang Chen? But if he participated in the ancient road to heaven, shouldn't he still be in the core formation realm? After all, the ancient road to heaven was only open to those below the nascent soul realm. And how much time had passed since then? Barely 2 months. Jian Linyu froze as the realization hit her. Wait 2 months. Fang Chen had jumped from the 9th level of core formation to a level where he could clash with a 7 Aperture nascent soul in just 2 months. Was there some kind of mistake? It had taken her a full year and a half to progress from the 9th level of core formation to where she was now, and reaching the strength of a 7 Aperture nascent soul would take her at least another year. Fang Chen had covered 2.5 years of her progress in just 2 months. A massive question mark formed in her mind. Am I actually just trash? She had intended to deflate Zhang Qiusheng's ego, but she ended up traumatizing herself. In the guest hall, Fang Chen couldn't turn down the hospitality and ended up drinking several cups of wine. Jian Lanzhong finally gave Fang Chen a break, laughing heartily. Now that the War Corpse is back, I can finally breathe a sigh of relief. Even though that master of the White Bone Alliance used up one of its charges, at least it's back where it belongs. Fang Chen understood immediately. The War Corpse couldn't be used indefinitely. At the end of the day, it was just a corpse that relied on the residual power from its past life. Every use drained its remaining essence. It made sense. Still, its power was terrifying. After all, this was an entity capable of slaying the Giant King. In the Taking Grand Province, among the 3 soul transformation experts and the 1 bodhisattva who would dare claim they could kill the Giant King, with the War Corpse guarding the Jian Family, they were even safer than the 3 spirits sect. With that in mind, Fang Chen finally voiced the request he had been preparing. Patriarch Jian, I have a rather presumptuous request. A sharp gleam flashed in Patriarch Jian's eyes. He chuckled. This is about the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion, isn't it? You're hoping that when the ancient giants descend, the Jian family will offer sanctuary to your people. Older really was wiser. Fang Chen didn't even have to spell it out for the Patriarch to read his mind. So, Fang Chen said, what are your thoughts on the matter? Jian Lanzhong studied Fang Chen, a calculating look in his aged eyes. Do you really think you're the first to ask me for this? I'm sure the line goes out the door. Fang Chen replied without missing a beat. With the ancient giants about to descend, panic is everywhere. A sect guarded by a venerable naturally has nothing to fear. But the mid-tier, small-tier sects are desperate for shelter. The Jian family is an obvious target for them to flock to. Jian Lanzhong set his wine cup down and gave a slow nod. Exactly. There are countless minor sects willing to pledge their entire lineage to us. They'd gladly become our vassals, just for a chance to survive the coming Great Tribulation. And I turned every single one of them away. The Jian family is already stretched thin just protecting our own. We simply don't have the resources to play savior to anyone else. Fang Chen gave a slight nod. It was exactly what he'd expected. With a Great Tribulation looming, every resource is priceless. It's every man for himself. But then Jian Lanzhong offered a cryptic smile, his tone shifting. However, given the tremendous favor you've done for the Jian family, I'm willing to make a special exception just for you. On one condition, I need you to do me a tiny favor. A tiny favor? If he hadn't phrased it exactly like that, Fang Chen wouldn't have thought twice. He eyed the older man with suspicion. Patriarch Jian, are you absolutely sure it's just a tiny favor? Jian Lanzhong picked up his cup again, staring deep into the wine. He spoke with profound weight. I may hold the title of Patriarch, but in reality, I'm nothing more than a figurehead propped up by the clan elders. I don't have the final say on most major decisions. I assume you understand how that works. Fang Chen nodded. Whether it was the 3 spirits sect or the 7 great cults, the reason a 7-aperture nascent soul could govern a sect came down to the bizarre nature of the nascent soul realm's hierarchy. An 8-aperture was half mad, and a 9-aperture was completely insane. To keep their organizations running, they delegated the data management to trusted 7-aperture subordinates. For minor matters, a sect master could make the call, but monumental decisions always required the consensus of the 8-aperture nascent souls, whenever they were lucid enough to meet. The Jian family operated the exact same way. I'd love to shelter the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion, Jian Lanzhong continued, but I need a bulletproof reason to convince the clan elders. He looked at Fang Chen with a half-smile, his eyes practically gleaming with admiration. And I've thought of the perfect excuse a marriage alliance between you and the Jian family. Caught completely off guard, Fang Chen practically choked, spitting out his mouthful of wine. His eyes went wide. A marriage alliance? No, absolutely not. I already have a fiancé and several romantic partners. I couldn't possibly drag one of your girls into this mess. Jian Lanzhong waved it off like a minor detail. What does that matter? You just need to marry into our family as a live-in son-in-law. You can keep your other women on the side as mistresses. That's even more impossible. If I marry into the Jian family, where does that leave Liu Ruyan and Fairy Cloud Raymond? Fang Chen's expression turned dead serious. Patriarch Jian, I appreciate the sentiment, but let's just pretend I never brought up the sanctuary. He had only made the request to secure a backup plan for the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion, not because they were entirely dependent on the Jian family. Trading his freedom in marriage for protection, that was a joke. Jian Lanzhong scoffed. The Jian family has plenty of gorgeous women in the younger generation. We'd definitely pick a standout beauty for you. So that was the play. They just wanted to marry off some side, branch cousin to him. For a second, Fang Chen thought he was going to suggest Jian Linyu. Fang Chen shook his head, instantly shutting the idea down. Patriarch Jian, the wine has been excellent. he deflected, but could you grant me a few days of cultivation in front of the slaughtering steel? It all clicked. No wonder Jian Lanjiang had been so insistent on bringing him back to the estate. This whole setup was a recruitment pitch. Subduing a Nine-Aperture nascent soul and overpowering 6 of their experts had proven his raw potential. The Patriarch saw an asset he desperately wanted, hence the red carpet treatment. Jian Lanjiang stared at Fang Chen for a long moment. He briefly debated whether he should bite the bullet and offer Jian Linyu's hand in marriage, but decided against pushing his luck. Fine, we'll drop the subject for now, the older man conceded. Let's finish our drinks, and then I'll personally escort you to the slaughtering steel. No matter how exceptional Fang Chen was, he was still just one person, and his Heavenly Secrets Pavilion was nothing compared to a juggernaut like the Jian family. Marrying his precious granddaughter to him, it just wasn't a good deal. Soon after the banquet concluded, Fang Chen was led deep into the Jian family estate to a grand hall situated right next to the madhouse. In the center of the hall stood a colossal, ancient steel hundreds of feet high, its surface covered in countless carved markings. The markings were like battle rings, each one imbued with the power of unknown divine abilities and precious techniques. The techniques themselves felt ancient, dating back to a distant era, but the steel was, by comparison, much more recent. The slaughtering steel had fallen from the heavens into the Taking Grand Province several hundred years ago. My Jian family ancestor outmaneuvered everyone to claim it first. The slaughter arts etched upon it have brought our family immeasurable power. But it has also been an endless curse. Jian Lanjiang gazed at the steel, his expression complex. If you're interested, he said, you can attempt to cultivate the slaughter arts, but be prepared for the consequences. Fang Chen nodded. Thank you for the warning, senior. I will. He took a deep breath and stepped before the steel. A rift of spatial light erupted from the steel, pulling him inside. From the outside, a new tally mark etched itself onto the steel's surface. I wonder how long he'll last, Jian Lanjiang mused, a spark of curiosity in his eyes. Facing an opponent at the absolute peak of your own abilities is the ultimate test of your real-time battle instincts. The more victories you can rack up, the higher your chances of survival in a true life or death struggle. To date, the best record belongs to the ancestor who cultivated the eagleless floating dust art. He managed to train inside for a full day without a single defeat. Fang Chen's limit should be around the peak 6-Aperture nascent soul realm. I wonder how long he can hold out. Zhang Keisheng and Jian Linyu swept over, landing beside him. Zhang Keisheng insisted he had something urgent to discuss with you, Jian Linyu said with a sigh of resignation. She had been escorting Zhang Keisheng on a tour, but his mind clearly wasn't on the sights of the Jian family estate. Instead, he was eavesdropping on every conversation he could. He'd even managed to overhear a few clan elders excitedly discussing that the war corpse had been recovered, at which point he immediately requested an audience with her grandfather. Jian Lanjiang stroked his beard with a knowing smile. People rarely pay a visit without a purpose. You're here for the war corpse, aren't you, Zhang Keisheng? Zhang Keisheng didn't bother to hide it. Patriarch Jian is as perceptive as they say. I'll be bold and ask directly, he began. I request that Patriarch Jian betroth one of your noble daughters to me, so that we may form a blessed union between the Godspeed Sect and the Jian family. Jian Lanjiang's smile never wavered. He wasn't the least bit surprised. Zhang Keisheng had come to inquire about the whereabouts of the war corpse. If it was confirmed lost, the Godspeed Sect would pull out all the stops to find it and claim it for themselves. If it had been recovered, they would push for a marriage alliance. The Godspeed Sect was one of the 7 great cults, but they had no venerable realm expert in their ranks. It was only natural they would covet the Jian family's war corpse, and proposing a marriage alliance was the most logical move. And which daughter of my Jian family have you set your sights on? Jian Lanjiang asked. An alliance with the Godspeed Sect was something he welcomed. An alliance with Zhang Keisheng, one of the famed 18 scions of Taking, was even better. Zhang Keisheng smiled. Lady Linyu, of course. I hope Patriarch Jian will grant us his blessing. Jian Linyu was stunned. Grandfather, I refuse. This is far too sudden. Jian Lanjiang held up a hand to silence her. Zhang Keisheng, he said, I'm afraid you'll have to pick someone else. Linyu is promised to either someone from the Three Spirits sect, or to that disciple of Venerable Mantra, Master Chenjing. No one else will be considered. Zhang Keisheng didn't seem surprised. It was only logical that the Jian family would save their finest daughter for the Three Spirits sect. A smile touched his lips. His gaze shifted to the slaughtering steel. Patriarch Jian, I've heard that when this steel first fell from the sky, there was a line of text inscribed upon it. That's what caused such a mad scramble to claim it, isn't it? The inscription read, "One who wins 10 battles is destined for the soul transformation realm." A sharp glint appeared in Jian Lanzhong's eyes as he sized up Zhongkeus Heng. "That's right. And why do you ask? Are you confident you can win 10 battles in a row?" Inside the steel, surviving even a single battle is a feat. 10 straight victories is almost unthinkable. Even the Jian family ancestor who set the record by lasting a full day only managed to defeat 5 opponents, a far cry from a 10-win streak. Zhongkeus Heng gave a slight smile. "I would be honored to make the attempt. If I can achieve an impressive result, I hope Patriarch Jian will reconsider my proposal." Jian Lanzhong chuckled. "Such confidence for one so young. Very well. If you can win 6 consecutive battles and surpass my Jian family's record, what's to stop me from letting you marry Linyu?" Zhongkeus Heng smiled confidently and gave a cupped fist salute. "Then I shall make my attempt." With that, he walked toward the steel. Only then did he notice the fresh tally mark on its surface, indicating someone was already inside. "Patriarch Jian, who is inside?" Jian Lanzhong replied, "Fang Chen, but it doesn't matter. You will each enter a separate pocket dimension. You won't interfere with one another." A slight smile played on Zhongkeus Heng's lips. "So it's him. Linyu mentioned he has the potential to become one of the 18 signs of taking. Perfect. I'll serve as a benchmark for him. If he can surpass my score, then we'll see if he truly has what it takes to be one of the 18 signs of taking. And if he can't, well, he'll just have to go back to the drawing board." With a playful smirk, he approached the stone monument and was instantly pulled inside. Jian Linyu stomped her foot in frustration, grumbling, "Grandpa, how could you agree to that? I'm not marrying anyone." Jian Lanzhong chuckled. "Relax, child. Your grandfather knows exactly what he's doing. Master Chenjing once visited here in secret, and even he only managed 5 consecutive wins before being forced out. Do you really think Zhongkeus Heng can hold a candle to him?" Jian Linyu's eyes widened in shock. Master Chenjing was here, and even he hit a wall at 5 wins. "Okay, I feel much better now." She let out a long breath of relief, the worry finally fading from her eyes. Outsiders only knew Master Chenjing as a mediocre 4-aperture nascent soul, but as the personal disciple of Venerable Mantra, there was no way he was that simple. If even he was stopped at 5 wins, Zhongkeus Heng didn't stand a chance. Jian Lanzhong said, "Check back in half a day, though they'll probably be kicked out long before then." Inside the spatial realm, Fang Chen was locked in a brutal struggle with a shadowy figure. The entity was a void of pitch black, save for its crimson eyes. It fought as if it had mastered the slaughter arts to their absolute peak. Every strike was a lethal commitment, a promise of death. Its cultivation realm was at the 6-aperture nascent soul, and its arsenal of techniques seemed endless. In close quarters, its bones would morph into jagged blades, lashing out to catch Fang Chen off guard with fatal strikes. At a distance, it unleashed a psychological onslaught of murderous energy designed to shatter the mind. On top of that, it used a barrage of lethal, bizarre tricks. It even possessed a soul defense technique and fought with the seasoned intuition of a veteran. It was the perfect mirror of Fang Chen's own limits. Fang Chen had cut down several 6-aperture nascent soul opponents before: Xuan Xing, Chuan Yi, and Reverend Blackbone. The first 2 were a challenge, the last one was easy. But this shadow, it exerted a pressure he had never felt before. Every clash was a dance on the edge of a knife. Without unleashing his trump cards or top-tier artifacts, winning seemed nearly impossible. But this was exactly what Fang Chen wanted. He had never found such a perfectly matched opponent, one that allowed him to fight with every fiber of his being. He could finally let loose, throwing every technique in his repertoire without holding back. As the battle raged on, his techniques grew sharper, nearing the state of consummation. His combat instincts were being forged into something far more dangerous. Most importantly, he could see his once unstable foundation finally beginning to solidify. It wouldn't take 3 days, he'd have his foundation rock solid in no time. After over 1,000 exchanges, with his energy completely spent, Fang Chen finally managed to land a lethal blow. The shadow shattered, dissolving into wisps of mist that surged into Fang Chen's body. His depleted power of the nascent soul and physical strength began to recover at an incredible rate. Fang Chen was stunned. "This is incredible." Moments later, memories of the slaughter arts the shadow had used flooded into his mind. By defeating the projection, he had automatically inherited its techniques. Fang Chen's eyes lit up again. This stone monument was the ultimate hidden gem. He couldn't wait to start dissecting the slaughter arts that had just given him such a hard time. If he mastered these, he'd have a lethal edge in future battles. But a moment later, his eyes snapped open, a flicker of doubt crossing his face. Wait, something about these slaughter arts feels off. Having studied so many cultivation methods, his intuition for their quality was far sharper than most. These slaughter arts seemed suspicious. Several techniques were clearly designed to artificially intensify the user's killing intent. Knowing that such intent eventually leads to demonic possession, the creator hadn't tried to minimize the risk. Instead, they were intentionally pushing the cultivator toward a darker, more volatile path. Deciding to play it safe, he abandoned the idea of practicing them. Besides, his current arsenal was more than enough. These arts were just a bonus. There was no need to risk a ticking time bomb in his cultivation. At that moment, a second shadow materialized before him. It had clearly learned from the previous fight, appearing even more formidable. Fang Chen felt the pressure mount once again. But he had evolved too. He refused to give an inch. Once again, he threw himself into the thrill of the battle. Half a day later, out on the plaza, Jian Lanjiang was personally guiding Jian Linyu's cultivation. He nodded in satisfaction. Your slaughter arts have reached true consummation. Your raw power already rivals a 5-aperture nascent soul. Should any fortuitous opportunity arise within the Taikang Grand Province, you now have the strength to fight for it. Jian Linyu sheathed her sword, her brow furrowing. A fortuitous opportunity. Jian Lanjiang stroked his beard. I've heard whispers through the grapevine. The Directorate of Astronomy is preparing to unseal a sealed 1,000-year battlefield. It's the very epicenter of the bloodiest clashes from the war a millennium ago. Countless venerable and giant king powerhouses fell there. Even great sage figures were buried in that carnage. When it comes to a fortuitous opportunity, what place in this world could possibly compare? Jian Linyu clicked her tongue, thoroughly awestruck. Just how brutal was that war 1,000 years ago, and how terrifying is this battlefield? Jian Lanjiang sighed, with the ancient giants on the verge of descending. The Directorate of Astronomy hopes to rapidly boost the power of the heavy hitters in the Taikang Grand Province. Whether they actually open, it depends entirely on what the scouting teams find at the sky-touching Black Pillar. If the threat is manageable, they'll likely keep the battlefield sealed. But if things look utterly grim, they'll tear the seal wide open. A glint of suspicion flashed in Jian Linyu's eyes. Why seal the battlefield in the first place? Could they be hiding some dark secret? Enough of that. Let's head over to the slaughtering steel. I imagine Zongcaius Heng has likely finished his trial by now. Hands clasped behind his back, Jian Lanjiang launched himself into the sky. Jian Linyu immediately followed suit. Honestly, she couldn't care less about Zongcaius Heng's combat record anymore. There was no way he'd surpass Master Chenjing anyway. The one she was truly curious about was Fang Chen. Do you think Fang Chen is somehow still in there holding on? Jian Lanjiang let out a bemused chuckle. Highly unlikely. His biggest trump card is that beast horn, which lets him launch soul attacks powerful enough to suppress a 9-aperture nascent soul. But inside the slaughtering steel, the moment he uses any spiritual artifact, his phantom opponent will manifest an artifact of the exact same tier. Relying on a cultivation method or a spiritual artifact to brute, force a win in there is practically impossible. Jian Linyu nodded in deep agreement. If raw power was enough to crush the phantoms, tossing in a deranged 9-aperture nascent soul would just result in a one-sided massacre, wouldn't it? If he wins, wouldn't that actually prove the steel's evaluation? That he truly has soul transformation potential? Jian Lanjiang stroked his beard again. The slaughtering steel tests your ability to fight when pushed to your absolute limits. Victory demands immense combat experience, versatile tactics, and the ability to evolve mid-battle. Fang Chen hails from the mainland. His bag of tricks and combat experience are relatively lacking. Overcoming his own phantom, easier said than done. Recalling how decisively Fang Chen had rejected his marriage proposal, he couldn't help but laugh. These youngsters. A little setback will do him some good. When I bring up the marriage alliance again later, he won't have the nerve to refuse me so bluntly. The two of them flew in tandem, arriving before the towering, slaughtering steel. Jian Lanjiang's eyes locked onto Zongcaius Heng's record, widening in surprise. 2 consecutive victories. As expected of the 18 scions of Taikang, they truly are flawless in every regard. Grandfather? Jian Linyu's voice trembled slightly. Her beautiful eyes were wide open, staring fixedly at a completely different marker. Look over here. Startled, Jian Lanjiang turned his gaze. In his mind, Fang Chen should have been defeated and spat out a long time ago. He should have been defeated countless times by now. And yet, the tally mark on the stone proudly displayed a glaring number 3. Jian Lanjiang's eyes nearly bulged out of his head. He actually won 3 rounds in a row. How is that even possible? For a long moment, the grandfather and granddaughter stood there, utterly paralyzed by shock. Zhang Keisheng had only arrived moments after Fang Chen, yet he was still stuck at 2 consecutive wins. Didn't that mean that Fang Chen's combat experience and tactics completely outclassed Zhang Keisheng's? Jian Linyu muttered under her breath, "I can't believe Grandpa actually misjudged someone for once." Jian Lanjiang flushed red. Even the best horses stumble. Fine, so your grandfather miscalculated just a tiny bit. Just as the words left his mouth, Fang Chen's tally shifted again. The 3 melted into a 4. Jian Linyu gasped, "Grandpa, are you sure it was only a tiny bit?" Jian Lanjiang stared blankly at the tally, his voice wavering with disbelief. "Maybe a slightly bigger bit." The 2 of them glued their eyes to Fang Chen's tally, refusing to blink. If he won just one more match, he would tie with the Jian family ancestors. He would even stand shoulder to shoulder with Master Chenjing, the legendary disciple of Venerable Mantra. 4 hours later, under their dumbfounded gazes, Fang Chen's tally twisted into a 5. The pair were struck entirely speechless. 5 consecutive victories. They didn't even dare to imagine the implications. Thud, a sudden noise startled them out of their daze. Zhang Keisheng, whom they had practically forgotten about, tumbled out of the trial space. He was covered in dirt and looked completely exhausted, yet his eyes shone with a triumphant gleam. He had successfully held his ground for the better part of the day, securing 4 consecutive wins across the entire Taking Grand Province that placed him among the absolute elite. Even though he hadn't reached the promised 5-win mark, it was surely enough to make Jian Lanjiang look at him with newfound respect. Man, that 5th projection was an absolute beast. I guess I'm still lacking just a bit of fire, just a little bit. He muttered this with fake humility, expecting a chorus of gasps and praises from Jian Lanjiang and Jian Linyu. Instead, the 2 barely spared him a glance before turning their undivided attention right back to Fang Chen's tally. Zhang Keisheng blinked. Was a 4-win streak suddenly a dime a dozen? What was with this lukewarm reaction? Following their gazes, his eyes locked onto a glaring, unmistakable 5. A violent shudder racked his body. 5 consecutive wins. Fang Chen, his mind buzzed with static. He was supposed to be the benchmark, the towering standard that would force Fang Chen to realize his own mediocrity. Now, the tables had violently turned. Fang Chen was the benchmark, exposing just how much of a fraud he was as one of the 18 signs of taking. He's still not coming out, he stammered. He already won 5 rounds. What is he trying to do? Break the ancient records. As if to answer him, 4 hours later, the number ticked over to 6. The entire room went numb. The slaughtering steel, for the very first time in history, someone had achieved a 6-win streak. Jian Linyu covered her mouth, whispering, "Grandpa, you didn't just misjudge him, you must be completely blind." Jian Lanjiang didn't even care about the insult. He shot to his feet. "Young Master Zhang, we can discuss the marriage alliance another time. Our Jian family has urgent internal matters to handle. We must ask you to leave." Zhang Keisheng understood the brutal dismissal. Jian Lanjiang knew Fang Chen was about to pull off something terrifying, maybe even hit 10 consecutive wins and unlock the legendary soul transformation potential standard recorded on the steel. The old man was clearing the room to keep the final results an absolute secret. Taking one last, jealous look at the steel, Zhang Keisheng reluctantly took his leave. The moment the doors shut behind him, Jian Lanjiang whipped out his transmission jade pendant and barked orders to the family's top experts' emergency lockdown. From this second onward, the Jian family is closed to all outsiders, politely escort current guests out, and do not let a single soul step foot inside our gates. Also, gather every young, beautiful, and talented woman in the family. I don't care how distant their bloodline is, bring them all here. And tell them to dress to impress. Jian Linyu rolled her eyes so hard it hurt. Grandpa, are you setting up a royal harem for Fang Chen? The thought of him lounging around like a king while picking from a lineup of stunning girls annoyed her to no end. Talk about the ultimate jackpot for that guy. Jian Lanjiang eyed her bare face. What are you standing around for? Go change into something nice and put on some makeup. You're in your 20s now. Stop acting like you're still 17. Running around bare-faced like this. If you get overshadowed by the others later, there's no way Fang Chen will pick you. Jian Linyu's jaw dropped. She pointed at her own nose. Grandpa, did I hear that right? You want me in this ridiculous harem lineup too? Jian Lanzhang shot her a withering glare. Oh, do you feel wronged? Do you have any idea what a 6-win streak means? His chances of reaching soul transformation are even higher than Master Chenjing's. Now go. Jian Linyu's mind went completely blank. Wait a minute. She had only tagged along because she was bored and wanted to watch Fang Chen perform. No one told her she'd be served up on a silver platter for him to choose from. This massive uproar stirred up immediate resentment across the Jian family. The young women being herded like cattle were furious, but the level-headed 8-aperture nascent soul elders, the true decision makers of the family, were downright livid. An elder with an overwhelmingly tyrannical aura, teetering right on the edge of the 9-aperture realm, stormed over in a towering rage. Jian Lanzhang hurriedly stepped forward to bow. Adept Suichin, what brings you here? Adept Suichin pointed a trembling finger at the grumbling women gathered outside the hall, lining up the young women of our Jian family like a king's harem. Even if you don't care about your dignity, the rest of us still have to show our faces in public. If word gets out, our family's daughters will be the laughingstock of the province. To degrade their own flesh and blood in such a manner, and for it to come from the usually steady and reliable Jian Lanzhang. The older generation found it absolutely absurd. Jian Lanzhang quickly raised his hands. Adept Suichin, please, calm down. Just take one look at the slaughtering steel and you'll understand. Adept Suichin scoffed. What is there to look at? No matter how skilled he is, it's not like he can defy the heavens. But the moment his gaze landed on the glaring 7, carved into the stone, he froze, looking as if he had been struck by lightning. In the short time it took to gather everyone, Fang Chen had conquered yet another round. Adept Suichin's eyes bulged in shock. 7 consecutive wins. What level of potential is this? Jian Lanzhang took a deep, steadying breath. If even he can't achieve soul transformation, then no one in taking Grand Province ever will. That's why I'm doing everything in my power to tie him to the Jian family. It might bruise the reputation of our young women, but for the family, the payoff far outweighs the risk. Adept Suichin snapped out of his daze and hurried outside the hall. He scanned the crowd of young Jian family women and saw the sheer reluctance written on their faces. His eyes darted around. All right, the rest of you are dismissed. Don't linger here. Complaining under their breath, the girls felt like they'd just been granted a royal pardon. None of them wanted to be picked like some prize in a selection. Finally, it seemed Adept Suichin was showing some common sense and looking out for them. But then Adept Suichin added, Zuru, Zufeng, my granddaughters, stay where you are. Follow your grandfather inside, now. Jian Lanzhang's lip twitched. That old fox, you're really playing it like that, driving everyone else away just so your own granddaughters can hoard the prize. Since you're the one being greedy, don't blame me for playing favorites. He quickly barked, Linyu, you come in with me too. The rest of you beat it. Wait a second, the realization hit the Jian family women. Why would the patriarch and the elder be pushing their own kin into this fire pit? Was there some massive upside they weren't seeing? They immediately started contacting their own elders, and as the news leaked, every elder still full of life came sprinting toward the hall. 8 wins. Damn it, Jian Lanzhang. Damn it, Suichin. You shameless old bastards, sending everyone else's daughters away just to keep him for your own granddaughters. How do you even sleep at night? Fine, if you're going to be shameless, then I will too. Where's my granddaughter? Get over here right now.
Ahem.
Senior Fulin, you only have a son. Where the hell did you get a granddaughter from? So what if I only have a son? Is there a law against 2 men being in love? As the hours ticked by, the crowd gathered inside and outside the hall swelled to a massive size. 10 wins! An exclamation erupted. Jian Lanzhang and the elders stared so hard their eyes nearly popped from their sockets. After 2 days of non-stop, grueling combat, Fang Chen had finally reached 10 consecutive victories. And then, the ancient inscription, long erased and forgotten, thundered through their minds like a physical blow. He who conquers 10 battles is destined for godhood. The meaning was undeniable. If everything went smoothly, Fang Chen was guaranteed to reach soul transformation. Maybe in 10 years, maybe even this year, he was destined to become a venerable. Their eyes burned with greed. If they could just latch onto him, their specific lineage would enjoy unprecedented glory. Inside the slaughtering steel, Fang Chen collapsed. His eyes were bloodshot, and his mind was drained to the absolute limit. Though his physical body and power of the nascent soul were restored after every victory, the mental exhaustion didn't just vanish. 10 high-intensity life or Death rounds, not even a man of iron could withstand that kind of pressure. Still, the rewards were staggering. His 3-aperture nascent soul foundation was now as solid as a mountain. He could feel it. His toughened nascent soul only needed one tiny nudge to break through to the next stage. Without hesitation, he pulled out a bottle of Hunyuan 9, colored marrow, and downed it. With zero resistance, the 4th aperture snapped open. He had officially stepped into the mid-stage nascent soul realm. A realm that once seemed like a distant, unreachable dream was now his reality. That was not easy. Feeling his power of the nascent soul double in strength, Fang Chen exhaled a long breath of murky air, his face etched with fatigue. Just then, a shimmering dark shadow began to take shape before him. Fang Chen immediately waved his hand. "No more, I'm done. I can't take another round." Surprisingly, the shadow didn't attack. It simply stood there, watching him quietly. It spoke, "Congratulations, you have successfully achieved 10 consecutive victories." Fang Chen looked up, confused. This was definitely different from the previous opponents. The figure stood with its hands behind its back. Its eyes weren't the blood, red of slaughter, but a piercing sky blue. "He tested the waters, you can talk." Fang Chen's heart hammered against his ribs as the shadow nodded. "I am the master of the slaughtering steel, a remnant soul left within." Fang Chen grew wary. Clearing 10 rounds activated the original owner's remnant soul. He couldn't tell if this man was a benefactor or a threat. "Senior, what can I do for you?" The shadow chuckled softly. "Don't be so tense. I stayed here to grant a fortuitous opportunity to anyone who reaches 10 wins. Fang Chen remained on high alert. The slaughter arts left in this steel were riddled with flaws. He had to be careful with any gift this man offered. "Senior, what kind of fortuitous opportunity is this?" The shadowed figure stood with his hands behind his back, sizing up Fang Chen. "I offer you 2 choices. First, take me as your master, and I guarantee you'll reach soul transformation within 3 years. Second, I gift you an origin of slaughter. Keep it close, comprehend it daily, and it just might help you achieve soul transformation through slaughter." Fang Chen's mind reeled in absolute shock. Just who was this person to actually guarantee someone could reach soul transformation in just 3 years? Taking Grand Prefecture was filled with experts at the 9-aperture nascent soul stage, but what venerable would ever dare claim they could guarantee a breakthrough to soul transformation? A fresh wave of astonishment crashed over Fang Chen. An origin source, something like the fire origin inside my own body. Anticipation burned hotly in his chest, but he quickly forced himself to cool down. He pondered for a moment before asking, "Senior, is there no price I must pay?" He had just comprehended so many slaughter arts for free. Now, this entity was casually handing over an origin source, or offering an apprenticeship. Were there truly free lunches like this in the world? The shadowy figure gave a raspy chuckle. "What could I possibly want from you? Just make your choice." Fang Chen weighed his options. This junior chooses the second. The figure gave a slight nod. He brought his hidden hand forward, revealing a thumb-sized blood-red aura orb resting in his palm. "When paired with the slaughter arts you've comprehended, this origin of slaughter will continuously grow. Ultimately, it will guide you to soul transformation." With a flick of his finger, he sent it shooting into Fang Chen's hand. Fang Chen caught it with both hands. "Thank you, Senior. This junior will diligently practice the slaughter arts." He carefully sealed the origin of slaughter within his own vitality and blood. Internally, he scoffed. Even at the very end, he couldn't resist pushing the cultivation of the slaughter arts on me. "You manipulative old ghost. I don't believe a word you say." Still, an origin of slaughter is too good to waste. A sudden thought sparked in his mind. Could I master its cultivation first, and then use Star Shift to transfer it to a Yin Corpse? That way, he could reap all the benefits without falling into whatever trap was waiting for him. If there was truly something wrong with the cultivation method down the line, he could simply sacrifice the Yin Corpse and be done with it. The brilliance of the idea brought a sly smile to his face. He offered a cupped fist salute. "Thank you again for the gift, Senior. This junior will take his leave." With a mere thought, he vanished from the spatial realm. The shadowy figure remained rooted in place, his azure eyes narrowing slightly. A cautious one, isn't he? But then again, who can truly resist the temptation of soul transformation? And who could possibly spot the trap hidden within the slaughter arts? I eagerly await your soul transformation through slaughter. When that time comes, you'll be in for quite the surprise. Back in the outside world. Fang Chen stumbled out of the void. Before he could even find his footing, an old but incredibly strong hand clamped down on his arm. "Young friend Fang." Fang Chen turned his head and quickly offered a cupped fist salute. Ah, Patriarch Jian, what are you? He stared blankly at the wrinkled hand, gripping his arm in a vise-like hold. Jian Lanjiang pulled Jian Linyu forward, beaming with a wide, hearty smile. Young friend Fang, earlier today, did you or did you not trap my granddaughter in a sack? Fang Chen was utterly bewildered. Why was he bringing this up out of nowhere? And furthermore, why was there suddenly a massive crowd gathering around them? He nodded slowly. Yes, that did happen, but I meant no harm. Jian Lanjiang didn't even let him finish. He waved a hand, dismissively. That's all I needed to hear. The Jian family has an ancient ancestral rule. Whoever bags one of our girls must take her hand in marriage. Young friend Fang, Linyu is yours now. Wait a damn minute. Are you sure that's an ancient ancestral rule, and not something you just made up right this second? Before he could protest, Adept Suichin strode over, dragging 2 young sect girls by their arms, one in each hand. Young friend Fang, our Jian family has another rule. Anyone who achieves a 10-win streak at the slaughtering steel is instantly rewarded with 2 wives. This old man has already prepared them for you. Please accept your prize? Right on cue, yet another elder approached, leading a beautiful sect girl by the hand. Young friend Fang, the Jian family actually has another rule. Anyone who stepped out of the slaughtering steel with their left foot first would have a chance to form a marriage alliance with the Jian family. Congratulations, young friend Fang Chen. You are destined for our Jian family. The bride is ready for you. Come, get to know each other. Seeing a group of Jian family elders waiting behind them, ready to lecture him on their rules, Fang Chen felt completely paralyzed. The Jian family had a few too many rules. He quickly performed a cupped fist salute, hoping to stop them. He said, I'm honored by your kind regard, esteemed elders. However, I already have a wife and have no intention of taking another. I cannot possibly waste the time of the Jian family's esteemed ladies. Please forgive my presumption. Jian Lanjiang and Adept Suichin exchanged a meaningful glance before speaking. Young Master Fang Chen, you must choose one today. Otherwise, it will be difficult for us to let you leave. The Jian family had no reason to give up on someone destined to reach soul transformation. Fang Chen's eyes flickered. Could his 10 consecutive victories at the slaughtering steel hold some deeper meaning? Before, Jian Lanjiang had only offered a woman from a side branch for marriage. But now, not only was he offering his own precious clan daughter, but a group of elders he'd never even met before were all pushing their own clan daughters, insisting he make a choice without question. His heart stirred. He planned to activate Shadow in the clouds and make a quick escape. But a sudden solidification of power within him revealed Adept Suichin's hand resting seemingly casually on his shoulder. A glimmer flickered in the old man's eyes. Young friend, you don't actually believe you can escape from the Jian family, do you? Fang Chen felt an inner chill of dread. An 8-aperture nascent soul cultivator held absolute suppression over him. And there wasn't just one present, there was an entire group of 8-aperture nascent soul cultivators. His face darkened. This was outright coercion into marriage. Jian Lanjiang's gaze burned. Young friend Fang Chen, make your choice. 2 8-aperture nascent soul experts subtly retreated to the main hall's exit, while 2 others soared above the hall, blocking any possible escape for Fang Chen. Fang Chen's heart sank. He couldn't possibly marry someone from the Jian family, let alone be forced into it. But now, even if he had 100 pairs of wings, he'd be hard-pressed to escape. He pulled out his protective talisman once more. Everyone, you might not know me well, but I am actually an emissary of the Bodhisattva. Jian Lanjiang smoothly took over. He said, or perhaps the personal translator, appointed by the Venerable of the Sanctuary of Myriad Tribulations, or even a partner of Venerable Mantra, correct. Over the past day, I've already sent people to inquire about your background. None of that changes your obligation to marry a woman from our Jian family. Do you have anything else to add? Fang Chen's expression hitched. Had his entire background already spread far and wide? What now? None of his usual tricks were working. Anxiety churned in his gut. He watched as the Jian family's gazes grew increasingly aggressive. He steeled his resolve. He bit the bullet. For me to take a wife, I must first consult with my current wife. If she doesn't agree, I wouldn't dare act on my own accord. Jian Lanjiang chuckled. Who is your wife? I'll invite her here to discuss it immediately. Pairs of halves, smiling half, mocking eyes fixed on Fang Chen. They were like a pack of wolves eyeing a shorn lamb. Who cared who his wife was? If the Jian family wanted her husband, what could she possibly do to stop them? Fang Chen gritted his teeth. He declared loudly, "My wife is Venerable Mantra." As his voice echoed, the entire hall plunged into a deafening silence. From the 8-Aperture nascent soul cultivators to the youngest clan maid, Little Kiwi, everyone stared fixedly at Fang Chen, unable to believe their ears. Who? Venerable Mantra. Jian Lanzhong swallowed hard, his grip on Fang Chen loosening in sheer terror. Young friend Fang, this is no time for jokes. Fang Chen produced the immeasurable ring. My wife Mantra was worried about me heading to the sky-touching black pillar without a magical artifact for protection. Before I left, she filled this with her own power. The elders' eyes widened as they stared at the ring. The sheer power vibrating from the artifact sent a shiver down the spines of every 8-Aperture nascent soul in the room. This was unmistakably the work of a venerable. Adept Suichen's face twitched as he pulled his withered hand away from Fang Chen. Should I call my wife Mantra over here? Fang Chen asked. You can ask her yourself if she minds. Jian Lanzhong waved his hands frantically. No, that won't be necessary. Who would dare bother a venerable over such a small matter? Fang Chen should just discuss it with her himself. Who in their right mind would try to steal a man from a venerable? Fang Chen let out a silent sigh of relief. In that case, I'll take my leave, he said. He gave the group a cupped fist salute and took to the skies. Not a single soul dared to stop him. Back in the hall, a heavy silence lingered before everyone finally exhaled in disbelief. They had just watched a future soul transformation venerable walk right out the door. Jian Linyu crossed her arms, her brow furrowed. Is he really Venerable Mantra's man? I'm having a hard time buying it. In her memory, Venerable Mantra was like an ethereal goddess who never bothered with the powers of the Taking Grand Province. How did she suddenly become Fang Chen's wife? Jian Lanzhong gave a helpless sigh. What's there to doubt? You think he'd dare lie about something like that? He wouldn't have the guts even if he had 100 lives to spare. Jian Linyu considered this. True, to impersonate the husband of a venerable, he'd have to be suicidal. As Fang Chen flew away from the Jian family estate, his skin crawled. Once Venerable Mantra woke up, would she peel him like an orange, season him up, and roast him over an open flame? Maybe she'd even deep fry him 49 times just for good measure. He remembered their first meeting, when she had threatened to tear his hands apart. A sudden chill ran down his spine. Brother Fang, you're finally out. Wang Chongling, who had been waiting outside the Jian family gates, beamed with joy. Seeing the imperial ink pot, Fang Chen finally felt a bit of comfort. He might be in for a world of pain later, but that was fine. Someone else was about to have it much worse. Brother Fang, what was that minor difficulty you mentioned? Please tell me everything. He couldn't wait to lure Fang Chen to some secluded spot. Fang Chen would knock him cold and swipe his blood coffin. Fang Chen gave a short laugh. Rushing to your doom, are you? Fine, I'll give you exactly what you want. He calculated the time. If they flew instead of using a teleportation formation, they would reach the sky-touching black pillar just before the 10-day deadline. But first, he needed to get one thing ready. Brother Wang, wait a second. I left something back at the Jian house. He slipped into a quiet corner of the Jian family estate, pulled out the void fishing rod and cast it forward, focusing his mind on a specific object. Inside Jian Linyuan's room, the man was enjoying a hot bath, a feast, and a large cup of wine. Without his sister around, he finally didn't have to worry about a daily thrashing or a beating every 3 days. After finishing his meal, he ran a hand through his hair with a smug grin, opened a drawer, and pulled out the spatial bronze mirror. Jian Weishuang's frantic voice drifted from the mirror. Little brother, is the family giving you trouble? Hidden inside the mirror was none other than Jian Weishuang herself. She had run for help, but found nowhere to turn until she ran into Jian Linyuan. He told her the family had spared him because he'd offered up a dragon marrow seed, but everyone else in the third elder's lineage had been locked up. As a fugitive, she was under a kill-on-sight order. Out of options, Jian Linyuan had hidden her inside the spatial bronze mirror. Jian Linyuan sighed. I'm fine. They just brought me in for questioning to make me give you up. Don't worry, sis. Just stay safe inside the spatial bronze mirror. I'll never betray you, not even if they kill me. Tears welled in Jian Weishuang's eyes. What a good brother. Thinking of how she used to hit him, she said guiltily, I'm sorry for how I treated you before. I promise I'll never hit you again. Jian Linyuan scratched his cheek sheepishly. I'm heading out to grab some drinks and pull some strings for you. Just stay put in that drawer for a few months. Once the heat dies down, you'll be safe." With that said, he shoved the bronze mirror into the drawer. He smoothed his hair, beaming with sheer delight. "I've got a solid 3 to 5 months of absolute freedom now." Suddenly, he sensed a shift in the air. He glanced down, his eyes bulging out of his head. A fishing hook phased right out of the void, slipped through the crack of the drawer, snagged the spatial bronze mirror, and yanked it out. The bizarre sight left him stunned. By the time he snapped out of it, the spatial bronze mirror had already been dragged into the rift, vanishing without a trace. "My bronze mirror, damn it, who's robbing me? My sister is in there. You just kidnapped my sister." Just then the hook returned, this time dangling a single dragon marrow seed. Jian Linyuan blinked. It finally clicked. Fang Chen had swiped the spatial bronze mirror and left a dragon marrow seed as payment. After everything that just went down, Fang Chen had barely escaped the Jian family in one piece. There was no way he was walking back in there. Borrowing the spatial bronze mirror like this was his only option. "Oh, it's Senior Fang. Man, you should have just said so. I would have packed my sister's dowry for you too." He snatched the dragon marrow seed, hastily pulled out a jade talisman engraved with the control method for the spatial bronze mirror, and hooked it onto the line. Take her as far away as possible, and never bring her back," he crowed gleefully. Outside the Jian family estate, Fang Chen reeled in the void fishing rod. Catching the jade talisman, he smirked. "At least the kid knows how to play ball." He immediately memorized the control method. A moment later, he formed a hand seal, sending a pulse of energy into the spatial bronze mirror and establishing a mental link with it. Now his vision pierced right into the bronze mirror's interior space, but with just one glance, he froze. Jian Weishuang, why the hell did Jian Linyuan shove his own sister in here? Talk about over-delivering. Jian Weishuang stared at Fang Chen in absolute shock. The two just locked eyes in a stunned, awkward silence. Fang Chen crossed his arms over his chest, shooting her a suspicious look. "What are you doing hiding in the mirror, trying to be a peeping Tom?" "Who wants to spy on you?" Jian Weishuang shrieked, flushed with rage. "Give the bronze mirror back right now." "My brother is in danger." Danger? Fang Chen arched an eyebrow. A few quick questions later, he had the whole ridiculous story, his mouth twitching hard as he held back a laugh. They were definitely real siblings. You couldn't fake this level of ruthless betrayal. Her chest heaved with fury, the ponytail at the back of her head whipping wildly. "Jian Linyuan, you have a death wish. Let me out. I'm going back to skin him alive." Fang Chen rubbed his nose. "Miss Weishuang, peace is always better than war. Since you're already out, how about I take you for a spin to cool off? You can do me a tiny favor while we're at it." "Why should I?" Jian Weishuang snapped. That was until a dragon marrow seed was tossed into the space. She had seen Jian Linyuan's stash, so she recognized it instantly. She had beaten her brother black and blue half a dozen times to get one, and he still hadn't caved, yet Fang Chen just casually handed one over. Snatching it up, her fury vanished into a radiant smile. "Deal. Jian Linyuan gets to keep his miserable little life for now, so what do you need? But let's get one thing straight. Nothing shady." She gave him a wary, guarded look. Fang Chen flashed a mysterious grin. "Don't worry, it's totally above board." Tucking the bronze mirror into his robes, he hurried off to rendezvous with Wang Chong. "To be completely honest, my target is actually a powerhouse from your Great Yin Sect." The Great Yin Sect? Wang Chong shrugged, entirely unbothered. He had only infiltrated the sect for cover identity anyway. He felt zero loyalty to them. He started running the numbers on this potential enemy's strength. Fang Chen only had a 3-aperture. Wait, no, he was already at a 4-aperture nascent soul. This lucky bastard went to the Jian family, broke through an entire cultivation realm, and actually caught up to him. Thinking back to when they first crossed paths in the demon race secret realm. Wasn't this guy only at the 5th level of core formation back then? He himself had already been at the 8th level of core formation. Despite such a massive gap, Fang Chen had actually managed to close the distance. Thank God they were only tied in their cultivation realm now. In terms of actual raw power, Fang Chen should still be miles behind him. Since he was only a 4-aperture nascent soul, his enemy couldn't possibly be a 7-aperture nascent soul, right? I don't know who this enemy of yours is, but if they're too strong, I might have to sit this one out. Wang Chong's eyes flickered calculatingly as he spoke. "It's Reverend Blackbone," Fang Chen said, his tone grim. Wang Chong's heart skipped a beat. "You really know how to stir the pot, don't you? You managed to piss off the sect master's right-hand man." "The man's a 6-aperture nascent soul." "You want me to throw down with him? I'm gonna have to seriously think about this. Truthfully, he could handle a 6-aperture nascent soul perfectly fine. He just needed to play hard to get so Fang Chen wouldn't figure out his true depth. Fang Chen waved a hand. Brother Wang, you misunderstand. Why would I throw you at someone that dangerous? I'm going to put my life on the line and stall him myself. All I need you to do is grab back my supreme grade spirit artifact from one of his Yin Corpses. Thump, thump. Even with Wang Chong hoarding a treasury's worth of loot on him, the words supreme grade spirit artifact still made him jump. Brother Fang, you've got to be kidding me, he gasped. That's a supreme grade spirit artifact. Even venerables barely have a decent one of those to their names. Fang Chen's expression remained perfectly flat. Otherwise, why the hell would I risk my neck picking a fight with a 6-aperture nascent soul from the Great Yin Sect? The guy completely crossed the line. He sicked his Yin Corpse on me and stole my supreme grade spirit artifact. Wang Chong's heart hammered against his ribs. Even if he didn't get his hands on the blood coffin, scoring a supreme grade spirit artifact would make this entire trip a massive win. He swallowed hard and asked, that supreme grade spirit artifact, are you sure it's still on the Yin Corpse? As its master, Reverend Blackbone must have taken it by now, right? Fang Chen said gravely, that's exactly what worries me. If it's not on that Yin Corpse, we'll be in trouble. So if you could, Brother Wang, please seize that Yin Corpse and search it. Wang Chong's eyes flickered. He asked, what does that supreme grade spirit artifact look like? Fang Chen mused, it's a string of Buddhist prayer beads. It can suppress souls, and when worn, it fills your body with Buddhist power. He had just made something up on the spot. Hearing the last part, Wang Chong's heart swelled with confidence. If that were the case, finding that supreme grade spirit artifact would be much easier for him. He would just need to replicate all of the opponent's power. If he replicated Buddhist power, it would prove the supreme grade spirit artifact was on them. Fang Chen, oh Fang Chen, you truly are my lucky star. I just returned to the Taking Grand Prefecture, and you've already delivered such a precious gift as a supreme grade spirit artifact. You, my brother, are a bond I will absolutely forge. Fang Chen, his face full of worry, asked, Brother Wang, do you have the courage to help me? Wang Chong thumped his chest, making a resounding sound. Don't worry, I'll definitely subdue that Yin Corpse and help you search for it. If it's not there, I'll help you deal with Reverend Blackbone and reclaim the supreme grade spirit artifact from him. He added silently in his heart, and then it'll be mine. Fang Chen showed his gratitude, then reminded him, oh, and that Yin Corpse isn't simple. It's an ancient giant, only about 6 zhang tall. A flicker of surprise crossed Wang Chong's eyes. The Great Yin Sect can even refine Yin Corpses of ancient giants now. The moment he heard, it was only 6 zhang. He was completely relieved. A Yin Corpse of that caliber, it'll be a cinch, won't it? All right, I've noted it. And, Reverend Blackbone, do you know where he is? Fang Chen nodded. Yes, I do. I heard he's gone to the sky-touching Black Pillar. We're bound to run into him there. Wang Chong had no doubts. The Heaven Connecting Black Pillar reconnaissance mission issued by the Directorate of Astronomy was a widely discussed topic, so he was naturally aware of it. For such a mission, the Great Yin Sect was bound to send powerful experts. It was perfectly reasonable for Reverend Blackbone to go. Then let's set off right now, Wang Chong said, eager for action. Fang Chen nodded again. Brother Wang, you can travel by cloud ahead. I need to make some preparations. Without a word, Wang Chong conjured a cloud and swiftly carried Fang Chen away. He abandoned the idea of knocking Fang Chen out with a single blow and taking the blood coffin right now. He'd secure the supreme grade spirit artifact first. Dealing with this guy later wouldn't be too late. Fang Chen watched Wang Chong's receding figure, a faint smile playing on his lips. Humans die for wealth just as birds die for food. Wang Chong, if you weren't so greedy, it would be much harder to pin this mess on you. His gaze swept past Wang Chong towards the direction of White Horse Temple. If he wasn't mistaken, Venerable Heart, Bane, unable to find him, would surely lie in wait at Fang Chen's inevitable destination, the sky, touching Black Pillar. That place would mark the first confrontation between Fang Chen and Venerable Heart, Bane. If he won, Fang Chen would finally be free. If he lost, Fang Chen would die. Venerable Heart, Bane, would also be severely wounded, perhaps even perish beneath the demonic black stone carving, resulting in mutual destruction. Seeing that several days of travel still lay ahead, a thought stirred in him, and he secretly pulled out the nether soul crystal. His gaze swept over Reverend Blackbone, Master Xuanxing, and Jiao Huangyan within it. The souls of the three instantly tensed, filled with dread. Fang Chen paused on Reverend Blackbone for a moment, a meaningful smile playing on his lips. Then his gaze settled on Jiao Huangyan. He finally had time to deal with this member of the White Bone Alliance. He activated his silent Zen, transmitting his thoughts. Do you know what fate awaits a soul captured by me? Jiao Huangyan's body trembled. He had heard from Master Xuanxing that on that day, the sect leader of Sanking Mountain had led them to the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion to cause trouble, and all of them had died. The sect leader of Sanking Mountain's soul had even been taken to refine elixirs. He hastily gave a cupped fist salute. Brother Fang, we became acquainted through our clash at the fire worship cult. Can you spare my life? Fang Chen said coolly, that depends on how useful you are. Jiao Huangyan scrambled to reply, I'll give you every cultivation method I've ever learned. Fang Chen shook his head, not interested. Cold sweat beaded on Jiao Huangyan's forehead. The White Bone Alliance had only been in Grand Prefecture for a mere 3 months. They hadn't secured any powerful treasures. Sensing Fang Chen's killing intent growing thicker by the second, Jiao Huangyan's eyes lit up. Wait, I know a hidden interstate teleportation array. It connects to a completely different state. That's exactly how our White Bone Alliance got to in Grand Prefecture in the first place. Fang Chen's heart gave a slight jolt. Fleeing to another state was his absolute last resort. But he hadn't yet figured out how to actually pull that off. Which state are you from? Jiao Huangyan didn't dare hide anything. Great Baron state. Great Baron? Fang Chen frowned. Why did that sound so familiar? After a moment of thought, it suddenly clicked. He asked, does your Great Baron state happen to have a place called the Great Baron Forbidden Zone? Shock and suspicion painted Jiao Huangyan's face. You actually know about the Great Baron Forbidden Zone. Fang Chen pressed on, and inside this Great Baron Forbidden Zone, is there someone known as Venerable Wutong? Have you been to our Great Baron state? Fang Chen didn't answer, but a wave of realization rippled through his mind. If Jiao Huangyan hadn't brought it up, he would have completely forgotten about a certain promise. Back when he discovered the Brahma, Holy True Spirit art, it was at the birthplace of the giant sect. It was the immortal's abode of Lu Jialin, a heaven's chosen who possessed the dual bloodlines of both human and demon. When he found the Brahma, Holy True Spirit art, it came with a message. Lu Jialin hoped that whoever received his technique inheritance would travel to the Great Baron Forbidden Zone, find Venerable Wutong, and pass on a simple message. Lu Jialin couldn't make the appointment. Having benefited so greatly from Lu Jialin's legacy, Fang Chen knew he had to visit the Great Baron Forbidden Zone if the opportunity ever arose. Brother Fang, Jiao Huangyan spoke up, breaking the silence. Activating a state-level teleportation array requires supreme grade crystals. You should prepare them in advance. Supreme grade crystals. Fang Chen was stunned. The intrastate teleportation array within taking Grand Province only required high-grade spirit crystals, but an interstate jump demanded supreme-grade ones. He gave a curt nod. Fine, I'll spare your life for now, depending on your future performance. The heavy weight on Jiao Huangyan's chest finally lifted. He immediately offered a cupped fist salute, thanking Fang Chen profusely. Finally, Fang Chen turned his attention to Hua Xin. She was slumped exhaustedly over the table, steam practically coming out of her ears. He had finally found a way to keep this woman in check. The translation book for the Hell Realm script was fully written out. Hua Xin jerked awake, angrily grabbed the translation book, and chucked it at him. Take it. Fang Chen caught it. Unfolding the pages, he saw the Hell Realm script neatly paired with its equivalent in human language. A hint of joy showed on Fang Chen's face. However, remembering Hua Xin's track record of teaching him absolute nonsense, he summoned the little Qilin. Scan through the Hell Realm script and see if there are any translation errors. The little Qilin had briefly been tutored by Hua Xin and could recognize a few hundred characters of the Hell Realm script. Holding the translation book, it flipped through the pages with its little paws, pausing whenever it spotted a familiar character. A short while later, it nodded. Master, it's all correct. Secretly, Fang Chen also referenced the text with the golden bamboo slip given to him by the Prince of Beihai, confirming that the characters he knew hadn't been mistranslated. He finally breathed a sigh of relief. Hua Xin had actually played it straight this time. But she had still held back. She hadn't translated a single character from the infernal desolate beast bronze artifact. He would master what was in front of him first, a few days later. Before the sky, touching black pillar, venerable heart, Bane sat cross-legged, his eyes closed in quiet anticipation. Wai Wuji jogged out from the White Horse Temple and reported, Venerable Fang Chen is not among the group that just arrived via the teleportation formation. Venerable heart, Bane gazed into the distance. Wai Wuji continued, I've already mobilized the local warriors. The second Fang Chen shows his face from any direction, they'll alert me immediately. I'll make sure he doesn't have a single chance to escape. A flash of ruthless malice flickered in his eyes. Since he had already crossed Fang Chen, he was going to finish him off for good. Otherwise, if Fang Chen ever got the chance to recover, it would be Wai Wuji's head on the chopping block. Venerable heart, Bane opened his eyes, a faint glint of approval in his gaze. You're thorough. Capture Fang Chen, and I'll see to it you're handsomely rewarded. I won't forget this. Wai Wuji was ecstatic. A reward from a venerable was like a fortuitous opportunity falling straight from the heavens. Fang Chen, oh Fang Chen, hurry up and come meet your end. I'm going to feast on your downfall. Then I'll take your head to the East Sea and ask that woman, the Pearl Demon Empress, if she still wants you. He chuckled darkly. Chime, right then, his transmission jade pendant vibrated. He checked the message, his eyes widening in pure delight. Venerable Fang Chen has appeared. A sharp, predatory light ignited in Venerable Heart, Bane's aging eyes. My dear apprentice, you've finally arrived. As his chilling words faded, he and Wai Wuji vanished like ghosts. Near White Horse Temple, scouts from the various taking sects had begun to assemble. The nearby spirit market was far more crowded than usual. Fang Chen strolled boldly through the spirit market, looking around with casual ease. He didn't look like a man out for blood at all. Brother Fang, you're being so loud about this. If Reverend Blackbone sees you, won't he just go into hiding? Wang Chengxiao asked, his brow furrowed in confusion. He had expected Fang Chen to lure the target to some secluded spot for a clean ambush. Instead, Fang Chen had walked straight into the middle of the crowd. If they ran into Reverend Blackbone now, should they strike or stay back? If they fought here, what if he had backup from the Yin Sect? And if they didn't act, what if the target just slipped away again? Fang Chen gave a calm smile. Relax, I have something Reverend Blackbone desperately wants. I've been hunting him, but he's been hunting me too. Once he knows I'm here, he won't be able to resist coming for me. The more witnesses there were when Wang Chengxi unleashed the void, flow lightning force, the better. Fang Chen wouldn't even need to explain himself. The crowd would do the talking for him. After all, what's the point of a performance if there's no audience? Oh, Wang Chengxiao's eyes darted around, his mind racing. Fang Chen was still holding onto treasures. Not bad. This little charade might actually be worth his time. He'd definitely knock him out later and strip him of everything he owned. Fine, since you have a plan, I'll follow your lead. Fang Chen smiled. Just focus on finding that Yin Corpse once Reverend Blackbone shows up. Leave the rest to me. Just then, several powerful cultivators from the Sanctuary of Myriad Tribulations approached, led by Adept Sanqian. His face lit up as he called out, Vice Pavilion Master Fang, it's been a while. Fang Chen returned the greeting with a smile. Greetings, Adept Sanqian. After gaining insights into the shadow in the clouds and securing a dragon marrow seed, Adept Sanqian held Fang Chen in the highest regard. Vice Pavilion Master, I've recently come into some surplus lightning energy I'd like to gift you. I also have a few questions regarding the shadow in the clouds that I was hoping you could clarify. Shall we find a tea house and catch up? Fang Chen looked apologetic. I'm helping a friend with some business, and I'm a bit tied up right now. Perhaps we can talk later tonight. Adept Sanqian chuckled. No problem at all. Get to it. They parted ways. Wang Chongling watched Adept Sanqian walk away, a chill of awe running through him. Adept Sanqian, a division head of the madhouse within the Sanctuary of Myriad Tribulations, had reached the Aperture nascent soul realm. He was so unexpectedly courteous to Fang Chen, it seemed Fang Chen held a significant position in the Grand Taking province. In the days since his departure, this barbarian kid from the continent had truly transformed. They hadn't gone far when a group of hurried monks pushed imperiously through the crowd. At their center was Vajrafane, still fair. Faced and smiling, he clasped his hands together and said, Master Fang, the abbot requests your presence. Fang Chen chuckled. How did you know I was here? Vajrafane replied naturally. The Bodhisattva foresaw it. What foresight, more like the listening to the voice of all things, discovering Fang Chen amidst all the bustling sounds. If even the Bodhisattva knew of his presence, then Venerable Zinking must surely know of his arrival at the spirit market and would likely come to see him soon. His deliberate display in the spirit market was meant to draw out Venerable Zinking. Everyone in the spirit market would serve as a witness. Only Venerable Zinking, the main party, was yet to appear. His meticulously planned grand spectacle could now begin. Fang Chen smirked. "I'll pay a visit another time, when I'm free." He sized up Vajraphayan, a hint of surprise in his eyes. "It's been a while, Master Phayan. Your cultivation realm seems to have ascended to another level." When they last met, Vajraphayan had already achieved the 5th grade Vajra rank. Now his Buddhist power was unparalleled, likely having ascended to the 4th grade, just beneath Abbot Puguang's 3rd grade Vajra. His cultivation speed was almost rivaling his own. Vajraphayan's eyes glimmered with wisdom as he smiled. "The same can be said for Master Fang. Since Master Fang is indisposed, this humble monk will take his leave." Before departing, he cast a glance at Wang Chongling, then at Fang Chen, and gave a faint shake of his head. Master Fang was up to his old tricks again. Wang Chongling genuinely looked surprised. "Brother Fang, you're truly extraordinary now. Out of the 3 spirit sect, 2 of the great divine sects are already allied with you." Fang Chen chuckled. "Mere acquaintances, that's all. If I truly face trouble, I'd still have to rely on Brother Wang for aid. I can't count on them." A pang of compassion stirred in Wang Chongling's heart. This guy was truly placing his complete trust in him. He'd been coveting his treasures all this time. Was that a bit dishonorable? Then, with a change of thought, he relaxed. He wasn't coveting Fang Chen's treasures, he was simply teaching him a valuable lesson about not trusting others so easily. Surely, Fang Chen would be grateful. Suddenly, Fang Chen looked up. In front of a stall, a petite girl was squatting. She wore an orange-red, short-sleeved jacket with overlapping lapels, a pleated blue-green long skirt, and 2 pink ribbons fluttered from her flying immortal bun. Her face was adorned with a peculiar Peking opera mask. Who else could it be but Vice Pavilion Master Gu? She contentedly picked out a treasure. As she stood, she spotted Fang Chen, and her round eyes immediately lit up. "You little rascal. Wait, no, what are you doing here?" She corrected herself just in time. Fang Chen's mouth twitched. He appraised her, then his eyes widened in surprise. "You've already reached the 3-Aperture Nascent Soul realm. Last time we traded the empty dust, you were only at the 1-Aperture Nascent Soul. You directly broke through to the 3-Aperture realm." With such continuous breakthroughs, wasn't she worried about her cultivation realm becoming unstable? A slight shock rippled through him. Gu Zinner proudly lifted her chin, her hands crossed over her chest as she tried to make her modest bust appear a bit fuller. "Of course, if I don't work harder, you'll leave me in the dust. I heard the Pavilion Master mention you were in the North Sea." Fang Chen's expression shifted drastically. He rushed forward and clapped a hand over her mouth. The Tower Lord of Jiangshan Yipin had witnessed him and Reverend of 6 Daos tricking Wang Chongling. How could Wang Chongling ever find out? He casually grabbed a boiled egg from a nearby stall and stuffed it into her mouth. "Eat more, talk less." MMMPH, MMMPH, MMMPH. Gu Zinner couldn't swallow it, nor could she spit it out, stamping her feet in frustration. Her eyes blazed with fury as she glared at Fang Chen. But as she watched, her vision blurred. 2 figures appeared behind Fang Chen without a sound, without a warning. When she finally made them out, her almond eyes flew open in sheer terror. Among the 2 figures was a sinister-looking old man. He stared silently at Fang Chen's back, a divine halo flickering eerily behind his head. Fang Chen seemed to sense something. The smile vanished from his face as he turned, and Venerable Zinking's figure came into view. He felt instantly suffocated, as if enveloped by a shadow of death, filling him with a primal, heart-stopping terror. Though he'd prepared himself mentally to face Venerable Zinking again, the reality of it still filled him with an uncontrollable tension. Especially the Venerable's eyes, which seemed to want to devour him, plunging him into an abyss of bone-chilling dread. It was the exact same feeling he'd experienced when he first faced Venerable Evil Crow. Only now did he realize that facing a soul transformation venerable, brimming with killing intent, and at the peak of their power, he might not even get a chance to use the demonic black stone carving. The moment he even thought of striking, his opponent could obliterate him. The bustling spirit market, due to Venerable Zinking's sudden, unannounced appearance, instantly fell into a deathly silence. As if a colossal block of ice had been dropped into a boiling pot, with the Venerable at its frozen center. In the blink of an eye, the only sound left was the whisper of the wind. Fang Chen suppressed his fear, unwilling to let his apprehension show. He performed a cupped fist salute and declared, "Your disciple Fang Liang greets Master Zinking." In the vast spirit market, Fang Chen's not-so-loud words echoed with remarkable clarity. Venerable Zinking's eyelids drooped slightly as he watched Fang Chen. His expression was devoid of emotion, neither coldness nor killing intent, yet it subjected Fang Chen to a suffocating pressure. He spoke slowly, his voice raspy. "My good disciple," he drawled, "you've gone to great lengths to deceive your master." Fang Chen's heart hammered. He was increasingly certain that Venerable Zinking had acquired some proof, convincing him that Fang Chen was the cultivator of the void, flow lightning force. His mind raced, but outwardly he maintained a placid facade. "Master, has this disciple done something wrong? I beg Master to enlighten me." Venerable Zinking let out a humorless chuckle. The smile held an uncontrollable surge of anger and icy coldness. "Since your master has come directly to you, you should understand that you can no longer hide. How long do you intend to keep denying it?" Wai Wuji stepped forward from behind him, a mocking glint in his eyes. "Fang Chen, stop acting. The Venerable already knows you're the void, flow lightning force cultivator." Wai Wuji, why was he by Venerable Heart? Bane's side. Recalling that Venerable Heart, Bane had once visited the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion, Fang Chen's eyes turned cold. Wai Wuji must have led him there. Given Venerable Heart, Bane's ruthless nature, the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion wouldn't have been safe. It was solely because Venerable Mantra was present, keeping Venerable Heart, Bane wary. Wai Wuji was clearly seeking revenge on him and those close to him, that accursed wretch. He should have cut him down with a single sword, strike back in the East Sea. Suppressing his killing intent, he spoke in a deep voice. "Master, this disciple knows you've been searching the entire take in Grand Province for a void, flow lightning force practitioner. And I've been diligently helping you look for suspicious individuals during this time. I never imagined Master would suspect me." He let out a helpless sigh. Wai Wuji felt Fang Chen's killing intent, and his heart tightened, solidifying his resolve to eliminate Fang Chen. "I told you, stop pretending. You won't be able to bluff your way through this. Venerable, whether he cultivates the void, flow lightning force can be known with a single test." Venerable Heart, Bane gazed silently at Fang Chen, old man Tianji's divination echoing in his mind far in the sky, yet close at hand. Aside from Fang Chen, he couldn't think of anyone else. "In this old man's life, I despise nothing more than those who deceive me. If it truly is you, then don't blame me for making you wish for death but never find it." His voice turned abruptly icy, brimming with boundless killing intent. The void, flow lightning force practitioner he sought, had become his nominal disciple. What bitter irony. Fang Chen lowered his head and sighed. "This disciple has nothing more to say. Whether Master wishes to kill or torture me, I submit to your will." Venerable Heart, Bane remained unmoved by his words. With a subtle flick of his foot, an oppressive, supreme might instantly enveloped Fang Chen. Crack. The immense pressure made the bluestone bricks beneath Fang Chen's feet sink sharply. His body trembled under the suppression, almost buckling to his knees. Numerous powers surged uncontrollably from within him, the power of the nascent soul, soul power, and physical power. The thunder core, fire core, and poison core in his abdomen also manifested one after another. Yet there was no sign of the void, flow lightning force. Venerable Heart, Bane's aged face, which had been contorted with coldness, subtly froze. A flicker of bewilderment crossed his mind. Could he have found the wrong person? Wai Wuji was stunned too. It wasn't Fang Chen. Didn't that mean Fang Chen had escaped this calamity? Afterwards, wouldn't Fang Chen come to settle scores with him? Thinking this, he urgently cried out, "Venerable, he must be hiding it. Try again." Venerable Heart, Bane snapped back to his senses and decisively amplified his overwhelming pressure severalfold. Fang Chen's body swayed, and the sudden, intensified pressure made him spurt out a mouthful of fresh blood. His legs trembled uncontrollably, and he nearly collapsed to his knees. Despite this, the void, flow lightning force still did not manifest within him. What's going on? Could old man Tianji's divination have been wrong? Venerable Heart, Bane's expression shifted drastically. Fang Chen, the man he was so certain was the culprit, didn't actually practice the void, flow lightning force. How can this be? No one fits the divination's description better than Fang Chen. Wai Wuji grit his teeth. To him, this revelation felt like his entire world was collapsing. The memory of Fang Chen cleaving the East Sea with a single sword strike flashed in his mind, making his skin crawl with terror. Fang Chen would kill him. He was absolutely certain of it. He couldn't let the boy live. A cold, ruthless light flickered in his eyes. He urged Venerable, it is better to kill an innocent than to let a threat escape. Even if it isn't him, he's still a suspect, and in this world, being a suspect is crime enough. Venerable heart, Bane snapped back to his senses and fixed a chilling stare on Fang Chen, his killing intent surging. It was true. Even without concrete evidence, Fang Chen was far too suspicious. Killing him now would be the safest course of action. Fang Chen stared back at Wai Wuji with icy contempt. You hypocrite. If I survive this, Wai Wuji, I'm coming for your head. Wai Wuji felt a shiver of pure dread down his spine under Fang Chen's piercing gaze. He scrambled to speak. Venerable, strike now. End this before he becomes a permanent problem. Being a man of ruthless action, Venerable heart, Bane didn't waste another word. A soul-crushing wave of light erupted from his eyes. Fang Chen's heart hammered against his ribs. It was just as he had feared. Simply hiding the void, flow lightning force, wasn't enough to guarantee his safety. Fortunately, they were at the White Horse Temple, and there was one person here who wouldn't just stand by and watch him die. Bodhisattva Heavenly Hearing. Bodhisattva Heavenly Hearing, if you don't step in now, I'm a dead man, he roared at the top of his lungs. Despite the distance from the White Horse Temple, the Bodhisattva Heavenly Hearing, who listens to the echoes of all living beings, heard his plea. At the absolute last second, a resonant Buddhist chant boomed from the depths of the White Horse Temple. This youth is destined for the path of Buddha. Venerable heart, Bane, stay your hand. The chant carried an overwhelming will, and even Venerable heart, Bane's monstrous killing intent was forcibly suppressed by its power. His aged body trembled as he looked toward the White Horse Temple with profound dread. Clearly, the Bodhisattva's sheer display of power had rattled him to his core. Such profound Buddhist Dharma, even I couldn't resist its influence. He turned his gaze back to Fang Chen, his mind racing with doubt. Why would Bodhisattva Heavenly Hearing personally protect this boy? Should he kill him, or should he back down? Wai Wuji's heart was in his throat. Fang Chen was a hair's breadth from death, and yet a Bodhisattva had actually intervened to back him up. He was frantic. Venerable, we can't let Fang Chen go, he whispered urgently. The master in the White Horse Temple is too far away to actually save him. You have to strike now. If he weren't so outmatched by Fang Chen, he would have finished the job himself long ago. Venerable heart, Bane's eyes flickered with indecision. Killing Fang Chen was the easy part, but if he offended Bodhisattva Heavenly Hearing, he would never be able to show his face in the Taikang Grand Province again. But if he let him go, the suspicion surrounding Fang Chen was still too heavy to ignore. At that exact moment, Fang Chen sent out a soul transmission, Little Killin now, at the edge of the spirit market. In a narrow, shadowed alleyway, Little Killin was huddled behind a stack of firewood. Upon receiving Fang Chen's command, it poked its tiny head out and opened its mouth, spitting out a spatial storage artifact. With a mere thought, it released a 6-jang tall Yin Corpse from the storage device. On the corpse's back was a jade talisman thrumming with the power of the nascent soul. The little creature hopped up and shattered the talisman with its paw. The power of the nascent soul surged out, slamming into the Yin Corpse and instantly activating the void, flow lightning force, and void, flow fire force coursing through its frame. Task complete, Little Killin immediately pulled the Yin Corpse back into storage, clamped the spatial storage artifact in its teeth, and vanished with a spatial blink. And the moment the void, flow lightning force, and fire energy flared to life. Beep, beep, beep. Throughout the spirit market, the sin encompasses, carried by various warriors, erupted into a chorus of alarms. These were Dharma artifacts that Venerable Zinpan had distributed to elites across the Taikang Grand Province. They were specifically designed to detect the void, flow lightning force the moment that energy appeared nearby. They would react instantly. Venerable Zinpan lunged for his own sin encompass, but before he could lock onto the source of the void, flow lightning force, the signal went dead. The perpetrator had suppressed the energy. His face paled with shock. The one who masters the void, flow lightning force is here. They're right nearby. His eyes turned predatory as he scanned the crowd, scrutinizing every single person present. When his gaze landed on Fang Chen, the boy gave a weary, bitter smile. Master, are you still going to listen to Wai Wuji and kill me just to be safe? If it puts your mind at ease, then I'll just end it myself right now. Venerable Zinpan froze. Anyone in this spirit market could be a suspect. Anyone except Fang Chen. After all, he was the only one who had already been thoroughly checked. He realized he had truly wronged his nominal disciple and had nearly executed an innocent man. Softening his harsh gaze, he huffed, enough of that nonsense. Help me find them. If you find the culprit, I'll reward you handsomely. He produced an aura orb infused with his own intimidating pressure and tossed it to Fang Chen. If you see anyone suspicious, force them to hold this for testing. If anyone refuses to cooperate, notify me immediately. Fang Chen caught it midair and gripped the aura orb tight. Yes, master. Venerable Xinpan vanished instantly, teleporting through the spirit market as a blur while he hunted for anyone suspicious. The spirit market was packed, but few fit the profile. Narrowing them down would be easy. After all, the target had only recently finished crossing the tribulation. No matter how fast they progressed in their cultivation, they couldn't be higher than the early nascent soul realm. Fang Chen realized the stakes. Time was running out. Brother Wang, help me search, Fang Chen said, his voice heavy with urgency. Wang Chongsu snapped out of his daze, staring at Fang Chen in shock. You're actually the disciple of Venerable Xinpan. Fang Chen gave a bitter smile and sent a mental transmission. You actually envy me for having a master like that. Wang Chongsu shuddered, shaking his head frantically. Hell no, he's too cold-blooded. He's practically on par with that witch, killing his own disciple over mere suspicion. I'd rather have no master at all. He looked Fang Chen up and down and let out a sigh of relief. I was sweating for you, man. I thought you were a dead man walking. It's a miracle the real culprit with that void, flow lightning force showed up, or I'd be mourning my best friend right now. Fang Chen sighed helplessly. Enough talk. We need to find that guy, and fast. Besides, he brandished the aura orb with a smirk. I've got the ultimate leverage now. If we run into Reverend Blackbone, he won't dare defy me. Wang Chongsu's eyes lit up. Reverend Blackbone is as good as dead. With Fang Chen leading the way, they sprinted toward the far end of the spirit market. Let's split up. If you spot Reverend Blackbone, signal me immediately. Wang Chongsu nodded firmly. Got it. And if you find him first, don't try to be a hero. Call me so we can take him down together without you getting hurt. Internally, he sneered. If I find him first, I'm not waiting for you. I'll take him down and strip him clean. If he has those supreme grade spirit artifact Buddhist prayer beads on him, even better. Once I've got the goods, I'll deal with you. With that, he vanished in the opposite direction to begin his search. Fang Chen didn't go far before reaching a secluded corner tucked away behind some battered wooden barrels. Sensing his presence, one of the barrels wobbled. A small head popped out. It was little Killen. It lunged into Fang Chen's arms, a spatial storage artifact clamped in its teeth. It wagged its tail triumphantly, clearly looking for praise. Fang Chen patted its head. Good job, buddy. Extra treats for you tonight. Reclaiming the spatial storage artifact, Fang Chen's eyes gleamed with mischief. Just one last step. He produced the nether soul crystal and used the soul imprisoning lock to drag out Reverend Blackbone's spirit. The old man trembled violently, terrified he was about to be ground up for pill refining. Senior Fang Mercy, I have an 80. Your old mother and children to feed. Please, I'm too young to die. Reverend Blackbone wailed, snot and tears streaming down his face. Fang Chen scoffed. You're nearly 80 yourself, and your mother is 80. What is she your sister? The Reverend's face froze. He let out a dry cough. Sorry, force of habit. She's 100. Let me try that again. Senior Fang Mercy, I have 100-year-old mother, and that's enough. Fang Chen cut him off. I'm not going to kill you. In fact, I'm letting you go. What? Reverend Blackbone blurted out, unable to believe his ears. His eyes darted around suspiciously. Senior Fang, are you for real? Inside the nether soul crystal, Master Xuanxing and Jiao Huiyan perked up, their eyes wide with disbelief. Why would Fang Chen just release him? Was he just playing some cruel joke? Fang Chen pulled out a black bone tool, Reverend Blackbone's spiritual artifact, and you can have your spiritual artifact back too. He tossed it over. Reverend Blackbone caught the artifact, hugging it as if he were in a daze. He stared at Fang Chen, stunned. Senior Fang, you're really letting me go. Fang Chen nodded. It's yours, truly. Reverend Blackbone remained skeptical. So, what's the catch? What do you want me to do? He knew nothing in this world came for free. Fang Chen shook his head. Nothing. You just need to run. Cover 4,900 miles. And no slipping into the void. Reverend Blackbone's eyes twinkled, and after I finish the run. Then I start hunting you, Fang Chen said. If you escape, you're free. If I catch you, you're going into the pot for pill refining. So? Run for your life, Fang Chen finished. Reverend Blackbone didn't wait around, he bolted instantly. Why would he turn down a golden opportunity like this? Of course, for the first few thousand yards, he played by the rules, staying out of the void, so Fang Chen wouldn't use that creepy soul-imprisoning lock to freeze him in place. As long as he hit that distance, he had a real shot at surviving.
Fang Chen smirked. Then he slammed a palm into a nearby courtyard, leveling it. The explosion was massive, echoing through half the spirit market.
"Brother Wang, over here," he roared. He whipped out the Yin Corpse and dumped it on the ground, making it look like Reverend Blackbone had fled in such a panic that he'd abandoned it. Then he shot into the sky, chasing after Reverend Blackbone's spirit. In truth, Wang Chunks, you didn't even need the shout the moment he sensed the shockwaves of battle. He was already racing toward the scene. He'd just seen Fang Chen chasing after a soul. As a disciple of the great Yin sect, he recognized it instantly. It was Reverend Blackbone. Kit's methods were insane. He'd already shattered Reverend Blackbone's Tao body. Wang Chungsu gasped. He was about to rush forward to fight for Reverend Blackbone's soul and snatch that supreme grade spirit artifact, the Buddhist prayer beads. Suddenly he spotted the massive Yin Corpse, and his eyes lit up. That's it. The 6 Jiang ancient giant Yin Corpse Fang Chen told me about. The Yin Corpse is the one that stole the Buddhist prayer beads. Quick, I have to search it and see if the beads are on the corpse.
His eyes gleamed with anticipation as he flew to the Yin Corpse's side, but just as he was about to start searching, he realized it was carrying several spatial storage artifacts.
There was no way he could go through them all quickly. Besides, Fang Chen was about to catch Reverend Blackbone's soul. He frowned. There's no time to search them one by one. If I copy its power and check for any Buddhist power, I'll know if the Buddhist prayer beads are on it. Remembering Fang Chen's words, that carrying the Buddhist prayer beads would imbue the user with Buddhist power, he didn't hesitate. He activated the mysterious eye within him, sweeping its gaze over the ancient giant's body. Instantly, he raised his palm, and 2 torrents of energy, one white, one red, erupted from it. No Buddhist power. Wang Chongsu stared at the 2 energies in his palm, completely stunned. What was this strange energy? It looked like fire and lightning. He'd never encountered a power like this. It mimicked the elements, but felt like a practitioner's internal force. It was just bizarre. Just then, a voice as cold as the abyss echoed from above him. It's called Void, Flow Lightning Force, and boy, I've finally found you. Wang Chongsu looked up. A halo of light crowned Venerable Heart, Bane's head, and his eyes blazed with overwhelming killing intent. A terrifying pressure, like a tidal wave, crashed down on the area, suffocating him. Wang Chongsu froze. Void, Flow Lightning Force. Wait, Void, Flow Lightning Force. His mind exploded. This was the Void, Flow Lightning Force that had thrown the entire Taking Grand Province into an uproar. The forbidden power wielded by the very person Venerable Heart, Bane, had been hunting across all of Taking. How could it be inside a Yin Corpse? How did I manage to copy it? And why did Venerable Heart, Bane, have to see it at this exact moment? Feeling the crushing weight of Venerable Heart, Bane's terrifying killing intent, he stammered, Venerable, please let me explain. This Void, Flow Lightning Force belongs to that Yin Corpse. He whipped his head around, pointing behind him, but the space was empty. Where was the 6 Jiang tall ancient giant Yin Corpse? Where did it go? Wang Chongsu's eyes went wide. He gasped, speechless. There was no way to explain this now. Venerable Heart, Bane sneered. You're Wang Chongsu, aren't you? You received a sin and compass from me once. I remember you. It all clicked into place. Wang Chongsu belonged to the Yin Corpse school, which was naturally weak to lightning, making it impossible for him to practice any lightning Tao cultivation method. That was why he'd never suspected him or any of the great Yin sect disciples. The culprit was right under his nose the entire time. You clever bastard, he seethed. The one who made me tear apart the Taking Grand Province. The one who almost made me kill my own disciple. It was you. A cold dread crept up Wang Chongsu's spine. He desperately dispelled the void, flow lightning force and fire energy from his hands and cried out, it wasn't me. It really wasn't. I was just using my ability to. Before he could finish, something tightened around his neck. He whipped his head around to see a rift in space tear open behind him. A fishing line with a golden hook had snagged him. Before he could even process what was happening, whoosh, he was yanked into the spatial rift. Just let me explain, he yelled, but whatever was on the other end of the line pulled with immense force, dragging him away in an instant and giving him no chance to clear his name. Venerable Heart, Bane was caught completely off guard. By the time he flashed over to the spot, the spatial rift had already sealed itself shut. He was so furious, he started to laugh, a harsh, grating sound. You little bastard, arguing 1 second and running the next. You've made a fool of me time and time again. I swear I will hunt you down and grind your bones to ash. Roaring with fury, he shot into the sky, his ancient eyes scanning the surroundings for any sign of movement. In a deep, abandoned well, Wang Chongsu was yanked out of the void, still shouting. Before he could even see who had grabbed him, a burlap sack was thrown over his head.
The familiar sensation told him instantly who it was. He roared, "Ugh, it's you again." Thwack. The brutal impact of the spiked club landed right on schedule. Wang Chongsu's head was ringing, but the blow jolted him into a sudden realization.
"You're Fang."
On the surface, everything that happened seemed logical, but looking back, so many of the details were incredibly suspicious. First, why would Fang Chen trust him so easily? He had a vast network of connections, and could have found plenty of allies to deal with Reverend Blackbone. Instead, he chose to work with someone who had betrayed him in the past. Then there was the way Fang Chen kept dangling the supreme Raid Spirit artifact as bait. Anyone with a shred of caution would never so casually reveal such a treasure to an outsider. The only reason he had even searched the Yin Corpse was because Fang Chen had repeatedly told him to focus on it, hinting that the supreme Raid Spirit artifact was probably on its body. Finally, all he should have needed to do was a quick search of the Yin Corpse, but it had inexplicably been loaded with extra spatial storage artifacts. That, combined with Fang Chen's frantic pursuit of Reverend Blackbone's remnant soul, created a sense of urgency that left him no time for a proper search, forcing him to use his copying ability. And the result, he copied the void, flow lightning force, and the fire energy. Meanwhile, the huge commotion from before was more than enough to attract Venerable Heart, Bane, ensuring he would arrive at just the right moment to catch him using the void, flow lightning force. And the most infuriating part of all, he could have explained everything, but he was snatched away out of thin air, robbed of any chance to clear his name. Venerable Heart, Bane would assume he'd fled, and now he was stuck taking the fall for the void, flow lightning force. It was all a giant, meticulously woven net, and he was the catch, and the spider at its center, the very same Fang Chen who had been calling him Brother Wang with such sincerity. Understanding it all now, Wang Chunks, who finally saw that Fang Chen wasn't the naive, gullible fool he appeared to be. He was a 1,000-year-old fox, more cunning than Wang Chunks, who himself could ever hope to be. It was Fang Chen, wasn't it? Thwack, thwack, thwack. The answer came in the form of 3 more blows from the spiked club. The world spun around Wang Chongsu. He roared, the memories flooding back. That's right, the one who knocked me out and stole my spiked club, that was you, in the Tiger Demon Emperor's cave dwelling. The one who knocked me out, stole my mountains and rivers cauldron, looted everyone, and framed me for it all, that was you too. With the ancient giants in the East Sea. And you're the one who stripped me down to my last pair of pants. As all the pieces fell into place, Wang Chonks, who felt like his lungs would explode with rage, he started screaming curses. Fang Chen, you inhuman bastard. You singled me out and just kept screwing me over. Thwack, 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 3 more blows from the spiked club. Wang Chongsu's vision started to go black, but he forced himself to keep cursing with his last ounce of strength. Fang Chen. Thwack, thwack, thwack. Finally, with a heavy thud, Wang Chongsu collapsed to the ground. Gasping for breath, Fang Chen stood over the body, spiked club in hand. You bastard. Since when is your head harder than steel? It took everything I had just to knock you out. He tore open the man's storage bag and immediately got down to business looting the body. The Reverend of 6 Daos had picked him clean last time, so there wasn't much to find. Then it hit him. Wait, that replicating eye. Fang Chen's eyes fell on the man's stomach. He slammed a palm against it, with a wet retch and earthy. Yellow aura orb popped out of the man's mouth. Fang Chen recognized it instantly. The Lord of the Myriad Visions, Void's small tower, had once spied Wang Chunks, using this very orb to emerge from the ground. It was the key to his earth, burrowing technique. Fang Chen wasn't about to be polite with Wang Chongsu. He snatched the orb, then slammed his palm into the man's gut again, trying to force out the green, replicating eye. He struck him again and again, so hard that Wang Chunks, who coughed up bile, but the eye remained stubbornly embedded in his flesh. Without hesitation, Fang Chen drew his purple sword. If I can't knock it out, I'll just have to carve it out. But just as he raised the sword to strike, the green eye seemed to sense the danger. It liquefied, oozing out of Wang Chongsu's pores drop by drop before coalescing in the air into a palm-sized, disembodied green eye. It resembled the heaven, monitoring mirror, but with one crucial difference: this thing was alive, and it was glaring at Fang Chen, smoldering with rage. Fang Chen stared, surprised. Is this a spiritual artifact, or some kind of bloodline ability? Doesn't matter, it's mine now. He immediately sealed the eye inside a jade casket. This wasn't the time for research. He retrieved a set of pitch-black chains. These were the very same chains that had once bound the heaven, refining furnace before snapping in its fiery eruption. The Reverend of 6 Daos had salvaged them to restrain the ancient giants. They would be perfect for Wang Chongsu. Fang Chen wrapped him up tight, leaving only his eyes, nose, and the crown of his head exposed, then tossed him into the spatial bronze mirror like a sack of grain.
Jian Weishuang was picking at her nails, bored out of her mind, when a human-shaped bundle wrapped in chains suddenly dropped in beside her.
She jumped. What in the world? Did this guy break some kind of celestial law? Fang Chen's voice echoed into the space. Do you have a club or something? Jian Weishuang considered for a moment, then with a wave of her hand, an entire rack of clubs materialized before her. There was a small spiked club as thick as her arm, a slender whip-like rod that looked like it would raise terrible welts, and even a meteor hammer with a head bigger than Fang Chen's skull. There were over a dozen of them, each one more bizarre and menacing than the last. Fang Chen was floored. Why in the world do you have so many clubs and hammers? Jian Weishuang picked up the meteor hammer and gave it a menacing practice swing. There for my brother.
A vein pulsed on Fang Chen's forehead. He could only imagine the kind of life Jian Linyuan must lead.
Shaking his head, he said, all right, pick one you like. Your job is to knock this guy out every time he wakes up. He's taken a lot of hits to the head and seems to be building up a resistance, so don't hold back.
Go all out.
You don't have to worry about killing him. Jian Weishuang casually swung the meteor hammer. So this is the favor you needed, she said, a proud smirk on her face.
Consider it done.
This is my area of expertise. She cracked her knuckles, settling in to watch Wang Chongsu, eagerly awaiting his awakening. At least she wouldn't be bored anymore. With Wang Chongsu taken care of, a heavy weight was finally lifted from Fang Chen's shoulders. As long as he remained hidden, he could continue to be the perfect scapegoat. Brother Wang, he thought, just bear with it for a while. Give me 10 years or so, and once I'm strong enough to face Venerable Heart Bane, I'll let you go. With that settled, he scrambled out of the dry well and hurried toward the commotion, putting on his most convincing, panicked expression. He'd barely gotten close when Venerable Heart Bane's deep voice boomed, "Where have you been? You're only showing up now." Fang Chen quickly offered a cupped fist salute. "Master, I was investigating a suspicious individual on your behalf." "Stop investigating, Venerable Heart," Bane snapped. "The culprit is the man who was right beside you, Wang Chongsu." Fang Chen put on a look of utter shock. It was him, that audacious, treacherous snake. No wonder he was so eager to befriend me. He must have known I was your disciple all along and used me to gather information, the cunning old fox. "Master, I was a poor judge of character. Please, punish me." Seeing how loyal Fang Chen seemed, how could Venerable Heartbane possibly blame him? He sighed deeply. "Forget it, it's not your fault. Even I was completely fooled. A disciple from the great Yin sect, the last person you'd expect, mastering the void, flow lightning force. It's unbelievable." "Tell me everything you know about him." Fang Chen recounted what he knew. "I don't know much, Master. From our brief fight, I can tell you he's extremely cunning. I doubt he'll be showing his face again anytime soon." Seeing Venerable Heart Bane's brow furrow in frustration, Fang Chen spoke up. "Master, my sect, the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion, can help track him down. I also have contacts within the 3 sects and 7 great factions. I can ask them to help search for Wang Chonglei." Venerable Zinking's eyes lit up. He remembered that even the great Bodhisattva Heavenly Hearing had personally stepped in to protect Fang Chen. In just a few months, this nominal disciple of his had built a network that stretched all across Taikang. He was better connected than his own master. If Fang Chen was willing to help, he would be far more effective than the Venerable could be on his own. A rare smile spread across his face. He stepped down and clapped Fang Chen on the shoulder. "Fang Chen, my disciple," he said, his voice laced with genuine admiration. "You continue to impress me." His eyes then fell upon Fang Chen's cultivation. When he sensed that his disciple had already reached the 4th level of the nascent soul realm, his shock deepened. "Incredible. Your fortuitous opportunities must be off the charts. To succeed in crossing the tribulation and reach the mid-stage nascent soul realm in just a few months. A feat like that deserves a reward, and it can't be just anything. For someone in the core formation realm, or even the early nascent soul realm, a simple gift would suffice. But for the mid-stage nascent soul realm, he'd have to choose the reward carefully." A sharp glint flashed in Fang Chen's eyes. He performed a solemn cupped fist salute. "Master, I don't need a reward. I only ask for one thing, your permission to kill a man with my own 2 hands." Venerable Zinking looked taken aback. "Who?" A chill crept into Fang Chen's voice. "Why, Wuji." Absolute cinema. Fang Chen didn't just survive, he turned the entire Taikang Grand Province into a masterclass of gaslighting. Claiming a soul transformation, goddess, as his wife, just to dodge a marriage trap. Peak shamelessness. But framing Wang Chengxi as the most wanted criminal in the province, while the guy was literally helping him. Diabolical. Wang is playing survival horror.
while Fang Chen plays 4D chess with everyone's sanity. He didn't just steal the man's luck, he stole his identity and his very future. Fang Chen isn't a protagonist, he's a walking natural disaster with a polite smile. Is Fang Chen officially more of a monster than the villains for what he did to his best friend, or are you ready to admit that this level of diabolical manipulation is the only true path to the Tao?